You are listening to Thanks for the Invite podcast with Freddy Correa.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Freddy Correa, and you are listening to my first Throwback episode. I'm going to be uploading old episodes that I've had with some of my favorite guests. And what I want to do kind of is if I bring somebody back to the podcast that did an episode, I would like to throw maybe the first time they were on the show to kind of fill you in where they were then and where they are now. So that's pretty cool. That's something I want to start doing. This is the Throwback episode 1 with Syatt when he did our podcast on episode 100. And he recently did episode 200. So it's funny. I didn't listen to the whole episode. It's been a while. I'm probably going to give it a listen. But at the end, when I was editing right now, he's talking about he had an eye sty when he was in Vegas, and I didn't really pay attention to it, but man, styes suck dick, man. I had my first sty this summer, 2019, at Skankfest. I submitted for Skankfest. I got accepted to do some shows out there in New York City, and it's a very fun festival, guys. But my right eye, my eyelid was blown up. It was all fucked up, dude. It looked like an asshole, a dog's asshole just farted in my eyeball or something. I don't know. It was really bad, man. So I feel what Lee was, talking about now at the end of the episode where he had an eye sty. They suck. They hurt. Every time you blink, I couldn't wear my contacts. Thankfully, I have like black rim frame glasses. So like, they covered it up pretty good kind of when I was wearing them at Skankfest, and it was dark, so you couldn't really see, but unless you look really close. But my eye was fucked up, so that was a bummer, having an eye sty the same week I was going to New York, so that sucked. But that was an awesome experience, and we talk about it in episode 200. So if you haven't listened to episode 200, go back and listen to it. We talk about our experience at Skankfest with Lee and Sammy and Ian. So enjoy this episode, guys. This is before Lee started doing comedy, by the way. So it's really cool to go back and listen to it. And I remember our conversation about him being a fan of comedy but not really wanting to do actual stand-up comedy. So there you go. Enjoy it, guys. Peace. Guest starts getting too far away from the mic like this. I
would love it if you played that with Joey. They'd be hammered within the first 10 minutes of the podcast. Yeah. It makes me laugh because he'll make fun of me when we go from the Periscope to the podcast.
Yeah,
he'll be like, "You got here an hour before," and then there's a few that you have to do stuff when you're starting a podcast, and I'll do a sound check, and I think I'm just gonna stop doing it. Because he does the sound check and he'll get right up to the mic, and then as soon as I press record, it's it's like he's allergic to it. But yeah, that's funny. Okay, so hopefully no one gets drunk this episode.
Yeah, yeah, don't get too drunk, people. And we always come up with some word. Eventually, we'll figure out what the drinking game word is. But if most of these people would listen at work, so they're really not drinking. Like Justin Ruff, one of our listeners, he's like, every time I play the drinking game, he just drinks water. So that's what he does. I've had real jobs like in stores and stuff as a kid, and a server. But like my first like adult jobs were always out here. And working in entertainment, like I was a TV editor or assistant editor. Yeah.
And from the beginning, there was drinking in the offices, like excessive and like drug use. So it's always funny to me when people are like, "Oh, I'm at work, I can't drink." I'm like,
"Yeah."
What do you mean?
To you, from your background, that was like the norm.
It was like we had margarita Fridays or Thursdays, and we would wine and cheese Fridays.
Yeah.
And then, like when I first moved here, I was working nights a lot.
Yeah.
And one of my jobs was to always go around and make sure like there were no coffee mugs in the rooms. That really wasn't my job, but my boss was crazy. But it was funny because there were my two friends in the office would always have. Oh, there's the first one. Let's do Passover for the word. It's Passover this week.
Okay.
So my two friends in the office would always like it was an ongoing joke with them.
Yeah.
Their coffee mugs would always be wine, constantly.
Right. Yeah.
And like I turned, I think I was like 22 or 23, and I was working the night shift, and you'd go in as the other shift was closing up. So my friend in the office took me out. I took an early I took like a lunch break like 30 minutes into it, and we went and got hammered for my birthday, and I went back to work.
What?
So it's, and then all the
That's so cool.
all the parties out here are open bar, like well, I don't know anymore. When I first moved out here, all the like the rap parties were open bar. And when you work night shift, sometimes they still let you go to the party. So you'll go to the party and then you have to go back to work hammered and nothing happens.
Yeah. Now, what's the night shift here?
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
The ones I worked most of the time were 7 to 5.
Okay.
Or like 6 to 4. There's graveyard too, which is like midnight to 9. But yeah, for TV shows and movies, there's always someone at the office usually. At least somebody.
Wow.
I worked nights for like close to 2 years, I think, of the 3.5 that I worked in TV, and it took me a while to get back to normal. It messed me up, but there's some nice parts to it, but it's weird, especially when you're working by yourself at night.
Yeah,
like I don't know how people do it in like a 7-Eleven or like a hotel. Like that would scare me. Like working with the public at night. I don't think so. I was working by myself. It didn't matter.
That's pretty cool. I mean, working by yourself, did you ever fall asleep though? Or?
Oh my God.
No one's watching. So.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, nighttime, it depends. Sometimes I would fall asleep because these companies were so cheap that they would turn the AC off at night. So it would get all warm and cozy.
Yeah.
And you're already tired. So at 3 a.m, you just start falling asleep. It's mainly just stuff like that. But you have to be careful because like the biggest one I worked on was Hell's Kitchen. That was the biggest show. And that had like a full staff at night. Yeah. So they even said at the beginning, like, be careful. We had to fire some people because like they'd just be, you'd walk by their office and they'd be snoring. Yeah. So it takes a while. Look, it took me probably close to a year after getting off of it to be able to sleep normally. Really? And then like with Joey, when we first started the podcast, I was working, that's the job I was working. I was working Hell's Kitchen, 7 to 5. And then I would drive from Beverly Hills to his house by like 5:30, 5:45. We do the podcast at 6. 6 in the morning. So then I'd usually sleep 8 to 4 or something. Yeah. So now every day I'm up by 7. So it's weird. Yeah, that's a big change right there. How did you manage sleeping during the day? A lot of people can't do that. I've always been a terrible sleeper. Like I don't sleep. If I get 5 to 6, that's usually the most I'm gonna get. Yeah. On the days I had the podcast, it wasn't a problem. I'd be passed out just because of the weed. On the other times, I just get tired. But like I never got like the blackout shades. Like our buddy. I have those. Our buddy Token Lair. He works like overnight shifts. Zombie shift. And he has to do it. So yeah. But no, the only time it would suck is when like and it's weird because in LA there's a big amount of people who work overnights, but there's no food open, so that's when I gained most of my weight because like I'd be going to the same fast food places every night, and then sleeping. The only part that sucks is if they start doing construction or like apartment, like the managers need to do work in your apartment. You're like, well, I worked until like 5 in the morning, and they want to come in at 9, so it sucks, but. It's not that bad. It's actually, working nights is honestly a really great gig. The only night it sucks is Friday. Yeah. Because everyone else is off. Everybody else is up. That's the only time. It's great. Like, if you're antisocial like me, it's like you don't have to talk. You don't have to deal with all that. Like, there's a guy who for like the 6 months I did jiu-jitsu, there was one of the guys who taught me was an editor who's worked overnights for I think 15 years. He just likes it better. Yeah. You're antisocial? I would never think that. Are you like an introvert? Oh, yeah. Yeah? I'm very shy. Yeah. It's gotten different since I've started podcasting. Yeah. Like, that's why... Like, so for people who aren't listening, I don't know if you're going to do an intro or not at the beginning. Yeah. But I forgot to tell you. This one I'm doing like Ari style. Okay. Yeah. So, So as you know, I work on the Church of What's Happening Now.
Yeah.
And hold on, the marijuana, the residual marijuana is hitting me. What was the question? I totally just blanked, and I didn't take any stars today.
I don't even smoke weed, and I almost forgot right now. Let's see what it.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. Holy shit, I forgot.
just being near me, I might have spiked your drink. Hold on, we'll get there.
Did you put a gummy bear in my drink?
I might have. A Star of Death.
Oh, yeah, introvert. Okay, I would never think you're an introvert. Like,
I was huge. I'm a huge introvert. Like
especially being in one of the biggest podcasts out there, you know?
I didn't want to be on the podcast.
Joey, you did not?
No, when Joey... Joey was doing Beauty and the Beast, and he wanted to do an early morning one. He liked the idea because he's the last person left who watches like local morning news. It's him, and he always got bummed out by all the depressing stories and just the negativity. So he wanted to do an early morning one, and like I said, I was working nights. So in my head, because that's how I found Joey. I was listening to podcasts. I was just a TV editor listening to podcasts and that. So I was listening to a lot of Bill Burr at the time, and I was like, oh yeah, Joey can totally do that, and he could have guests too if he wanted, even though 6 a.m. would be tough.
So you had a vision, huh?
So I was like, yeah, I'll run the board, I'll do all that stuff, but I don't want to talk. And it's weird because my dad was on the radio for 20 years.
Really?
Like my dad, it's kind of weird thinking about it because we're like I'm always the quiet guy. I'm always the guy like in the back. Like if it's like a party situation and there's a bunch of people talking, find wherever the couch is with a TV and maybe a dog, and that's where I am. Yeah. And like I used to get really starstruck. Like if it was like a morning radio, like a morning TV person. Yeah. It didn't even have to be like a star. Just anybody that I've seen, I wouldn't talk to
the
them.
Weather guy.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, the weather guy. I wouldn't be able to talk.
One time in Reno, I saw the weather guy at a club, and I got so starstruck. I went to take a picture with him, and I was nervous. I'm an idiot. And that's how I am, and that's honestly at some point, like after the podcast, who knows what's going to happen with podcasting? Whenever 8,000 years down the road, when we're having holograms beamed into our brains or whatever, I'll have to listen to some of the early ones. Yeah, because I'm sure that they're just terrible. Like I tell people whenever I'm helping them with podcasts. Yeah, the first one we ever did, we had this guy. I don't know if you remember the site Stickcam. It was like a streaming site. I think so.
Somehow Joey knew them. And so they came to his house to do like a test. Yeah. And the first one we ever did, they were there, and I was so consumed, like so excited and consumed and trying to get everything right that I forgot to press record for the first 20 minutes. Oh no. Luckily it ended up to be a test episode. Yeah. But it's crazy where your life goes. Like I would never have thought in a million years that this is what I'd be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane, man. And I like how you touched on how you found Joey was through podcasts.
Absolutely, yeah.
How did you even get into like comedy podcasts? Because there's a big variety of podcasts out there.
Oh, there's tons. When I first moved out here, when I first was driving out here, I was listening to the radio, and it was the second time that I've done the Boston to LA drive, and. I love it. You know? I love it. It's driving for
by yourself.
Oh yeah, because like the last year or so of me being in college, I was working not like a movie theater and a waiter. It's not a hard job. And then I interned out here the summer before I graduated, and as I was interning, I took online courses because I wanted to graduate early. So then I went straight back to school and did my last semester, so I had like a year and a half of no break. So driving for 8 hours a day listening to music was great. It was perfect. Yeah. But the issue is I'm not a huge fan of country, not country, Christian rock and like broadcasted sermons. Yeah. Which is a lot of what they have. Yeah. Once you get past Tennessee, Oklahoma area. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I was actually almost all the way here. I think I might have been in New Mexico or Arizona. and someone on Facebook posted about Kevin Smith's documentary podcast.
Oh, okay.
So I downloaded that, and I think I found...
You had an iPhone?
No. No, I didn't.
It was hard to get a hold of a podcast
remember
back in the day.
you had to download it on iTunes,
yes,
plug your iPod in, and then drag and drop it into your iPod. I remember those days. the dinosaur days of podcasting. And I found Kevin Smith, and I found Doug Benson, Doug Lovely Movies.
Oh, okay.
So I binge listened to those for like the rest of the ride. And then the same friends who had the wine in the coffee mugs.
Yeah.
I think they must have introduced me to Rogan.
Oh, really?
And then that's why I heard Joey, and then the first time, I don't even remember if Ari was on the show. I think he must have been. But the first comedy show I went to see in LA was one of Ari's This Is Not Happening.
Yeah.
It was Bad Jobs, and it had Kyle. The only one I remember was Kyle Kinane.
Oh,
I don't remember who else was on the show. But so yeah, I was listening to podcasts all day and all night. That's because my first job was for America's Funniest Home Videos, which was a great. It was hard, and it wasn't everything I wanted it to be, but it was a great job, and I learned a lot. But a lot of what I was doing was digitizing. So what that is like they still have. If you don't know what America's Funniest Home Videos is, just Google it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But they still have a lot of their clip library. At least when I started. Now it's mostly digital. But when I started, it was on beta tapes, which is like a more. You probably know what beta tapes are.
Yeah, that's what they used to use, like in studios and news, like in the news plays. They didn't use VHS.
Oh no,
they would use beta.
And then like
a lot of people don't know.
I kind of wish that they opened it up like a museum.
Yeah,
because that show's been on for 25 or 26 years. And they still have everything. So like they have everything. They have vaults full of film.
Are they still running?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh of course. Oh yeah. They'll never stop running.
Okay.
They'll never stop. It's like the beginning of YouTube. But what I was doing was I was taking those beta tapes, and they have. It's almost like if you took a YouTube playlist and just put it back to back to back to back, and they have every clip written down, and they know what tape it is and what time it is. So the process is the writers go through and they pick 500 clips.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go through, get them into the system so that the editors can work on it, and then every day they would just send down more clips because some clips would get axed, and so that was most of my day, was putting in tapes and fast forwarding, rewinding, and letting the machine do its work. Yeah. So that was
so tedious, man.
It sounds weird, but thank God for tedious jobs. Because that's the entire reason podcasting exists. Yeah. Because podcasting is over 10 years old. Yeah. It was like mostly computer. Yeah. I was never really into it. I didn't even really know about it. And there's something about comedy podcasts, and now other podcasts I feel like have raised their level to that. Yeah. And it's not with everybody, but especially the early adopters like Rogan, and I don't listen to a lot of Corolla, but he's obviously pretty great.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't listen, but I have so much respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, he does 8,000 podcasts, and he's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. These people are, all they've been doing for their entire career is talking and making things interesting. So it's pretty much like the perfect platform. Now it's gone to the point where everyone has one, and there are some, I don't want to say bad ones, but there's just, I really think that in a few years there's going to have to be some sort of a new name in a way, because like there's podcasts like the one that I do is mostly conversation, like this one. There's ones where it's mostly news, but then there's ones that people just try to be joking, which is fine. Yeah. But it's just different. It doesn't, and it's always tough when those kind of people come on to the talking ones, like the conversation ones, and they try to tell their jokes. Yeah. It's almost like a podcast version of Comics Unleashed. Yes. And it's just terrible. But that's just my opinion. Some people like it.
Some people like it. One of my early episodes, I did it at an open mic in a circle of like 5-6 comics. Okay. And we all introduced ourselves. And one of them, he introduced himself and he started doing his jokes.
Oh, Jesus. we should have just unplugged his mic.
We're all staring at him like, dude, what the fuck is happening right now? This is so awkward.
And it's like, come on, man, this is your job. Like, especially now, if you don't know what a podcast is, or how to be on a podcast, or what is a normal podcast, it's sad. Like, that's Joe. We haven't done them for a while, but Joey and I used to do live podcasts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are always fun.
They were a lot of fun at the Ice House, but then there was like a couple other places we did it, and they just like Joey's talked about it before, but they were like, yeah, so how many comedians are going up? And we would have to like, no, there's no comedians. We're just gonna sit at a table, like have the table, like, and it's tough. I mean, have you done a live one yet or not yet?
Not yet, but
I wouldn't recommend it.
It's tough because
the sound always gets fucked up.
The sound's always the problem, right?
Yeah, because we were talking before about comedy clubs and their equipment. Oh, Passover.
He got a little way from the mic and Lee caught himself.
7 nights of Passover.
You know what I used to do with the guests? I used to do the dick sucking move. I'd be like,
yeah,
that meant like.
Oh, that's what I do. And we have mic stand. Maybe we shouldn't have mic stand, but we have mic stands at the office, and I'll like constant. I'm stoned out of my mind. So maybe no one else knows it, but in my head, I'm really brilliant. I'm like, I just keep moving my head towards it, and I like look at them.
Yeah.
But sometimes I literally have to like take my hands off, like, you're here, go here, and like.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of comedy clubs. Going back to that, just don't. You would think they would have a lot of, or most of, their budget invested in equipment.
Yeah.
But they don't.
They don't. Right before the episode when we started right now, I was telling you that you're using the microphone that Joey Diaz used in Reno because the comedy club had a raggedy mic that would make noise when you moved it. So Jesus. I told the club owner, let's just use one of my podcast mics, and ever since that, I've been saving that microphone you're using.
Oh yeah.
I haven't told that story on the podcast, so.
And then it's crazy.
They don't take care of the shit.
Like, didn't Rogan like replace a sound system at the store?
Yeah, he did.
Years ago. That's
before Syatt thing. He replaced the whole system.
That's crazy, and it just goes back to like how can you not, for your business, have the basics? Like, I don't know what they're spending their money on. Mm-hmm. Like from what I hear, they're probably not paying comics a lot, or maybe they're paying just a few comics a lot. But it's crazy they don't have that.
And by the way, it's okay to get technical. I want to ask you about that.
Okay.
What went wrong on one of those nights? Like, to me in my head, I'm thinking, because I'm a sound guy too. Like, I love wires. Obviously, I'm in cable, so I understand all that shit. I mean, everything in my head, I'm thinking, all the mics go into the mixer. Mm-hmm. Everything's broadcasted into the speakers. People could hear it. Why not just plug into the headphone jack and then plug into the Zoom?
That works sometimes, and that's what I do mostly. I don't know. I think it might be an input in the mixer. Mm-hmm. An issue like that I ran into, and like that works in theory. Yeah. But then you have to, like, if you have your Zoom set up for your studio or something, and then you plug it in, like, that mixer can be way off. Yeah. And then the other issue is, like, the first couple of times I wouldn't bring headphones. And sometimes if you have to check it, because even if the levels look good, maybe there's a button pressed, or maybe it sounds weird. The worst
overdrive.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. The worst one that ever happened, and I think we ended up getting it because I just happened to have my laptop. Yeah. Was we were at a comedy club, and I plugged in my Zoom. I had it all there, and the sound guy he made a mistake, and but he picked up his leg, and it caught the power cord. And I was like, hey man, watch out. Yeah. Let me help you with that. And he just went whoop, and the Zoom went crash. Ooh. Right before the podcast was about to start.
Oh,
and the only way we were able to get it was, for some reason, when you plugged it in, it still worked as like an audio interface. Mm-hmm. So I had to plug that in and then plug that into my computer, and I feel like we still got it. I forget who it was.
It was at the Ice House, right?
It was at the Ice House. But the Ice House was great about it. That night they gave me a check for a new one, so it wasn't a big deal.
So they actually broke it.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
It was just.
I haven't broken my Zoom. My past Zoom. I used to have the H2N.
They have the H1 and they have the H4.
The one that Ari has.
H4.
Mm-hmm. I had that one, and I dropped that bitch like 7 times.
Oh yeah.
It never broke.
It never broke.
And then I sold it. It's in perfect condition.
Wow. Yeah. I still have the H4. You have the H6, and I kind of want it, but like we were saying at the beginning, it's tough. with a power situation. But now you can do that, so maybe I'll get it.
It's
nice.
It's really nice, dude. This motherfucker's a beast. And then if you ever want to add mics, I got my splitter.
Yeah.
You can add up to 5 mics, but that's not always a good idea for a podcast because then everybody talks, especially if you don't have headphones.
Oh yeah. I think 4 is okay, but I honestly think 3 is the best.
3?
Like 2 to 3, I think I think the issue that some people run into is the third person has to one person has to take a step back. Because if there's 3, and that's where I think being an introvert kind of helped me. Because I've always liked asking questions.
Yeah.
And I'm not a comic, so that's why on the podcast I purposely sit back and I let the comedians do their stuff. I let them talk, and I let them. I'll interject something if I want to, or if there's a lull. But when there's too many people, just everyone saying whatever they want to say on a podcast. Yeah. And the issue people run into is they'll just, like, for example, when you're talking, someone will just be, they won't even listen to what you say. They'll just, okay, what's the next funny thing I want to say? And then, okay, they must stop talking. I'll shoot it in there, but I didn't answer any of their questions or respond to anything they said.
Exactly what you're saying. I've had a lot of guests like that where they're not even paying attention to what I'm saying, and they're just ready to shoot something out. Yeah. But I'm also like you in a sense where if a lot of people are talking, I'll sit out. Yeah. And I always hear that about David Tell. David Tell is fucking hilarious.
Really? Oh yeah, he's great.
He's everybody looks up to him. But if he's in a like when he was on Tough Crowd, all the comics are, shooting jokes, boom, boom, boom. He's just sitting there quietly. But when it was his turn, he would bust one out, really good one, like... Yeah,
oh yeah, that's...
But if I'm in a circle, dude, that's me. I'm just chilling.
Oh yeah, I don't like it. That's me being an introvert. I just started doing a new podcast called Mat Therapy. It's a jiu-jitsu podcast. But the reason why I bring it up is one of the hosts is a friend of Joey's that I've known for my entire time out here. Yeah. And she was making fun of me, because she's beautiful. And she was making fun of me because, like, when I first met her, when her and her boyfriend would come, like, I would just sit there, like apparently, I didn't even realize it, but apparently, like, I wasn't very talkative, but I was just super shy, like, wouldn't make eye contact. Yeah. And podcasting has helped with that. Yeah. I'm not as shy anymore.
It's been like therapy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, because, like, I don't know, I was always a chubby kid, and... I don't know if it's just my brain, which is a distinct possibility. Yeah. But I had like 1 or 2 good friends like that I would hang out with all the time. But I was never the guy who like got invited to like a ton of parties or all that stuff. I was a nerd. We went to see movies and we played poker or something. And so for me, if I don't know somebody, it takes me a lot to warm up to them. Yeah. It's scary. Like, it sounds weird to use the word, but it's almost scary. Like, I just started working out at this new gym, and it took me about a month of being there 3 times a week. Can we tell them Passover? No. You're too much in the mics, Alpha. We might have to move.
We might have to move. We got some plumbers next to us.
Yeah, but hold on. God damn it, marijuana.
We were talking about how with your friends, you would go to movies. And
right. So it's just, the gym. It took me like about a month and a half of being there, literally 3 days a week for an hour to like jump into any conversation. Like I've always been very jealous of people who can like just walk into a room and everybody loves them and they're the life of the party and it's not that they're being douchey and like drinking, but it's just like, who's a good example? Like Steve Simone is always just so happy and so nice, and then just there's always someone in a group who can go, like Joey's great at it. He'll go in and talk to everybody and just start joking around. And I'm very different. Like that's scary. Like even just thinking about it, my heart's racing a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's go back. Like Joey used to yell at me, but if I could stay inside all day, that's fine. Yeah. It doesn't bother me. I don't really need to go to bars. Yeah, I'm very happy at home.
Would you go to the movies by yourself?
All the time.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
Constantly.
pound it. People think I'm weird.
I don't give a shit. I worked in the movies for, let's see, off and on for like 6 years.
Oh yeah.
And especially when I went to college in Boston, my college was literally next door to the movie theater I worked at, and I got free movies.
Yeah.
So almost every day, like, it's weird for me now that I don't know what's in the movies.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything. And when I first moved out here, I was so broke that I didn't want to pay. I didn't want to pay for parking, which is almost everywhere in LA. So
Wow,
I found the one movie theater you need to pay for parking, and I would go to like 3 or 4 in a day.
And it's more expensive out here to watch a movie.
Oh my God, I went to Tempe with Joey once.
Yeah.
And movies were like $8 for a matinee. I was like, oh, I need to move here, because for a matinee it's like $12-15 out here already.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And that's I just found out that Deadpool is already on demand.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy it for like
already.
$15.
Yeah.
I'm so like, and this will actually be interesting to you. I think it was either DreamWorks or I'm pretty sure it was DreamWorks. One of those big animation companies just got bought by Comcast yesterday.
Really?
Which bums me out.
Oh wow! I heard they were buying out Time Warner too.
Yep.
Oh, they bought them too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if Comcast bought Time Warner. I know somebody just bought Time Warner. But it like, I haven't had cable for over a year.
Why does it bum you out?
Because now they're gonna. Because they see that the cable industry is dying.
Yeah.
And that they see that the movie industry is hurting. Mm-hmm. So it bums me out because, I'm worried that they're going to put a lot of DreamWorks maybe just on Comcast, maybe just on cable.
Oh, I see.
And we won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
And I also... there's too many... like, the reason why I got rid of cable and all that, it's all monopolies around here. The only cable I'm allowed to have is Time Warner.
Yeah.
There's AT&T, which is the worst.
Uverse. Yeah.
I like AT&T once. I was on hold for 45 minutes, and I was like, okay, this is just not going to work. Yeah. And then it's so expensive that it's prohibitive for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And when these companies are just like, now what? So Comcast owns Time Warner, NBC, Universal, and now DreamWorks. Like, it's all the same company, and it doesn't give a consumer or the viewer any sort of choices. So now when they raise movie ticket prices, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you just can't see it.
It's so expensive. You know that movie theater in Burbank, right by Flappers?
Yeah, that's the one I go to.
That's the one you go to? Mm-hmm. AMC, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so me and Lizzie went to watch The Revenant probably like 2 months ago or so. Mm-hmm. And in Vegas, we've had the recliner chairs, the alcohol, all that stuff for like the last 3-4 years.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, in Vegas, dude, it's the same price as like a regular movie. If you go before 5, it's matinee. It's like $7.
No way.
For the recliners. Oh. And then free parking. And then after 5, it probably jumps up to like $11.
What was it, like 20 a person?
Yes, dude. I was like, when they told me it was like 40 something, I'm like, what?
You're like, there's only 2 of us here.
Yeah, there's only 2.
It's not for the whole party behind us.
$40, dude. And then it's like, yeah, okay, the beers were around the same price. You know, I usually get myself a couple IPAs, $10 each, but
$10 each. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
Yeah. But I was like, I would tell her, I'm like, hey, babe, we're on vacation. It's all good. But I was astonished, and we paid for parking.
You paid for parking?
Wait, hold on.
No, you're not.
No, the garage. No, we didn't. No, you're right. No.
But it's great, and it's tough, especially like having a girlfriend. Like it used to freak me out when a girl would pay for anything. Mm-hmm. But now Paul and I have been together for 3 years, and like we like going to the movies, like you just said, or like last night we went for dinner, and she ordered a salad with chicken, and it was like, to add the chicken cost us like $15 for the whole, like a salad and chicken was like $15.
Holy shit!
Even more than that. And I don't want to be like, maybe we shouldn't like maybe we shouldn't do this because it's like turning into like a $30-40 meal at like an outdoor place, but it puts people in weird predicaments, like I can't afford this, or like if like let's say Lissy was not your wife and like it was a first date, to go and spend $80 at a movie, it's crazy. And then like, what if you don't like it?
Yeah,
like it's getting real. Like, that's why I think comedy is booming right now because of the podcast and because. So you're gonna go spend $20 on a movie ticket.
Yeah.
Why not spend $20 on a comedy club?
Yeah.
And you'll have to pay for 2 drinks at a lot of places.
Yeah.
But just get dinner.
Yeah.
Or get 2 sodas. You don't have to get 2 actual alcoholic drinks, and it's gonna be about the same price.
Yeah.
And if you like that person's podcast, there's a good chance you're gonna like their comedy.
Yeah.
So that's honestly like. So what you're telling me is I can spend $50 on a movie that might suck, or I can spend $60 with a comedian who I know I'm gonna like.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Plus, it could lead to a good conversation after the show.
Yeah,
like if the comedian is too offensive or something, the girl's like, "I didn't like how he disrespected women," and then the guy could be like, "Yeah, baby, me too. I didn't like that." You know, and next thing you know, you're smashing. In a movie, what
cut to smashing.
That's a great point that you brought up, though. Yeah, comedy is booming, man. It's never. Rogan talks about it like he's never seen it like this. Like in the 80s, there was a boom, but right now it's just insane. The only thing that sucks now is that comics aren't really getting paid as good as the 80s. You know, most of us have day jobs. We have to. You know, it used to be. Joey talks about this too. It used to be if you were a middle act, you could live off of that. You know,
really?
Joey used to live off of that.
Yeah.
You know. Now you're a middle act. Got to take PTO to go feature. You know.
Jesus, that's.
Got to have a day job for a long time.
That's tough, and especially for I'm always surprised at the money that. And I don't know what it's like in Vegas, but for like the Comedy Store or the improv spots where they get like $15 a spot.
Yeah.
And now I get they're only doing 15 minutes, so it's actually it comes out to $60 an hour, which is great.
Yeah.
But when you get to a certain level, where you're like, if they're putting your name on the marquee, it's bringing people in, and to get $15 for that must be kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, and the price hasn't changed since the 70s, by the way.
Oh, that was what they were getting paid in the 70s, 15?
Yeah, Mitzi started that. And I think that started all when the strike.
Right, and in New York, people get paid more because I've heard Ari talking about it.
Yeah,
you can get a pretty good amount.
Yeah,
but it's like people keep asking me if I'm ever gonna do it.
Yeah, you always get pressured.
I don't think I'm ever honestly. Well, even with I'm just gonna wait for that Passover to go by. For it to pass over us. Even let's just take out being funny, which I don't think I'm funny enough to be a stand-up, but let's just take that out of the equation. I don't want to spend 10 years being broke. Like I don't want to spend at least 10 to 15. I don't have that. I don't love it enough.
Yeah.
Like that's. I want to be. I'm trying to move ahead and to commit myself to something like that. Just for
you don't
fun.
want it to be like a hobby.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it as a hobby, but I would never. I don't think I could ever see myself like committing to trying to be a stand-up as like a profession. I
think if you tried it, I think you would get bit by the bug.
Oh, I'm sure I would, which I don't want to. Because
so you're avoiding the bug.
I'm just starting to like get back on my feet financially. Yeah. So like I don't want to like take another step. Like it's.
I see what you're saying.
How long have you been doing comedy?
This year 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when did you start making money doing it?
It was the first month. I mean, my first open mic. I'm not saying I started making money because I was great. Obviously, I sucked. I just brought a lot of friends. It was a competition.
Okay.
So I won $20. I won the comedy competition.
Is that your first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'll send it to you it's on YouTube. But
you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. How is it?
It's private.
Is it funny?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so.
What episode number are you on around? Do you know?
You're on the podcast?
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
You're 100.
You have to release it. You have to release as part of episode 100.
Should I put it at the end?
Even just a 30-second clip.
Okay.
Just something. Just like one joke from it.
Okay.
That'd be
It's
perfect.
like 4 or 5 minutes.
Am I really episode number 100?
Yeah.
Thank you, man. That's a big honor.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about this. I'm actually, right now, as we're recording this, I think I'm at 97 or 98. So I'm going to put you at 100.
You put this in the can?
Yeah, for about a week or so. I release them like Netflix sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I put like 3 in 1 week.
And you do a Snapchat one too, right? You do a podcast on Snapchat?
Yeah, I do. I reversed it. I say chat snap because when the Snapchat came out, I kept saying chap snap, or I kept fucking it up. So because you know how Snapchat is 10-second videos and it's short.
Okay,
you got to get to the point.
I'm just getting into it.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Well, you got to get to the point quick. So my other podcast, which is on the same feed, it's called the Chat Snap, and it's 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, and do you record it and put it on Snapchat?
No. I just recorded it.
Oh, so it's just the same theory behind it.
Same
okay.
theory, yeah.
Very cool.
So it's a short episode. Sometimes we go up to 20, and I record on my cell phone.
Okay.
On the voice recorder, and it gets great sound. I do it like interview mode, back and forth in a green room.
Yeah.
Upload it, and it's
very cool.
They dig it. So yeah.
And that's going back to what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
How there's so many different kinds of podcasts.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's because what bums me out most about podcasts are when it feels like they have like a big red light in the studio, and as soon as I hit an hour, they're like, "Okay, we're done."
Yeah. I hate some of those.
It's like okay, like when we're done for this week, it's like, well, why don't you just keep going? Or and then it also, you can tell sometimes when you're listening to a podcast when people have run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So just end the podcast there.
Yeah.
There's no reason if you're at 45 minutes to stretch it out to an hour.
Yeah.
For no reason. So that's really. I'm gonna have to listen to who's been on like your 20-minute ones. Like is there a lot of comics?
I had Rodrigo. I did it over the phone. I've had him on there. I had Earl Skakel.
Oh, very cool.
Earl Skakel was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, he told one of my favorite stories on the podcast, so that was cool.
I'll have to go listen to that.
Yeah.
The Chap Snap with Earl Skakel.
Yeah. And before I started the Chat Snap,
Snap.
Yeah.
I think it's a Chap Snap.
Or Chap Snap. Actually, the name has changed 3 times. So if you go back in December, it said Snapchat, and then Chap Snap, and then right now Snapchat or Chat Snap.
Snapchat.
I think it's gonna.
You should just change it every episode. Just move around the letters.
All I keep is the number correct. So yeah, right now I'm at episode 37 or something like
Very
that. Very
cool.
Yeah. But before that, thanks for the invite. I've had Felipe on there with Rodrigo and Flaco. Do you know Flaco?
I think I've met him. He's skinny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I met him.
Yeah.
Between Felipe, Joey, Rodrigo, and me, there's not a lot of skinny guys around. So I was like, okay, he's a skinny dude.
Yeah, so those are some of my favorite episodes. And you know what's insane, dude? And we'll get back to I remember what we were talking about, but I think it was my episode 8 or so, or episode 7. I had Edwin.
Oh, cool.
Very early in my podcast, and I never imagined that he would become my mentor.
Oh, so he wasn't your mentor at that point?
No, back in, I think it was 2013 when I had him on my podcast. I met him in Vegas. I've always been a big fan of him. And we did the podcast. He's like, yeah, we'll do it in my room. So we went up to his room, me and Lizzie and another comic, and we busted out an episode. Ever since, we became friends. And
that's really cool.
Yeah. So eventually now I'm producing his podcast. So it reminds me of like your story, how you found Joey and now you're his man, you know?
It's crazy. So it's weird to think about.
It's crazy, huh? Like you never imagine, like you can't broadcast, you can't predict the future, but when you look back, you're like, 3-4 years ago, I would have never imagined I'd be here in this place. You know, or like
no, it all started from a Facebook message.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It's coming up in June. Is the 5 years of that Facebook message? So and it's frustrating. Like, cause I'm not necessarily a planner.
Yeah.
Because talk to my girlfriend, and I don't really like to plan a lot of stuff like that. But it gives me a little bit of anxiety if I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And especially, like, it was a good introduction to that for me, working in TV, because gigs end every 3 to 4 months usually. But working with Joey, like, if I had never sent that Facebook message, like my life changed because I was bored at work, and I sent a Facebook message. Like, there's no way, like, if I had been out of the office, if my boss had called me into a different room, if I'd been on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how that, and then it's very, because you have an interesting perspective because you're a comedian and you have a day job.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how with your day job it's rigid and you have a schedule and you work this and this, and with podcasting, like my dad wants to come out. My dad wants to come out at some point this year. But he called me like at the beginning of this month and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming out in November." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow."
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me. Like a lot of times people are surprised that just because like sometimes Joey will call and be like, "Okay, we have a podcast on at 8." I'm like, "Great, sounds good."
Yeah.
And a lot of people have trouble with that sort of schedule.
Yeah.
So
it's a day-to-day thing.
Yeah, it's hour to hour thing.
Hour to hour. It's like when I hit you up, you said, "Let me find out how it's gonna look." And you know what's cool about that though, man? That you don't commit to something that you're not sure you're gonna do it. Because some people commit and they Hollywood talk and then they cancel, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's.
So I appreciate that.
Oh no,
it's better to be upfront like that.
Because you never want someone to do that. You never want to promise something that you can't go through with.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure, like everyone does. No one's perfect at anything, but I don't want to say yes and then, like Joey could have said on Thursday, "We need to do a podcast in Indy. You're coming. I just bought you a plane ticket." So I don't. Things can change, and like how often, like you must get gigs. Hey, be at the Stratosphere in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do a set.
It just happened last week.
Yeah, really? Oh yeah. So you just have to be.
I hit up my boss. "Hey, can I get off early?" "All right, cool." You know.
And it's
like I'm using PTO.
Yeah.
Losing more money to get. I'm getting paid for the spot, but I'm losing money. But yeah, it just happens on the spot.
And you have to be. What's the word? Flexible.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people aren't. And it's not for everyone. Like working for yourself or working not at like an actual like office. Like there's been like every few months I'll have a little bit of a panic attack. Not an attack, but I'll start looking at like it's usually when I'm paying bills. And I'm like, okay, I need to like I'll start looking at job postings or something. It takes like 10 minutes to like calm myself down. I'm like, okay, everything's okay. I can handle this.
Uber?
I did Uber for like 2 weeks and Joey almost killed me. He hated it.
Really?
Joey is tough because he does everything out of love.
Yeah.
But he doesn't I don't know if he doesn't feel like or he just doesn't want to explain himself.
Yeah.
So like I'd be Ubering and he'd be like, "You can't Uber." And like one of the last times we talked about it, he was like, "What if someone attacked? Like what am I going to tell your parents if they call me after you get killed driving an Uber?" It's like you can't be doing that. And then that was actually one of the biggest, and I'm still working on it because like what we're talking about earlier with working for yourself. He was like, "Hey man, put the time you're Ubering making $100, which is great. It's a good for a day, but put that into what you're doing for business. Like put that time into that, and eventually you'll get more money. Like the return will be greater, but you have to wait." Which, like we were just talking about, is hard for a lot of people. It's hard to be like, okay, in a year, this money will come back to me. Yeah, it's different. And especially when you have bills to pay and tax season just happened, it's like, okay, I need money now. Yeah. But you really, I don't know. I'm just getting to the point now where it doesn't freak me out as much having a bill. Yeah. Like when I first moved here, I paid my credit card off all like in full. I never carried a bill. Like I never carried any debt. Yeah. And I'd prefer not to if I had the choice. But I can't let it give me as much anxiety as it did. Yeah. Like it used to give me anxiety hearing about my friends paying off like they had credit card debt and they refinanced their credit card debt. I was like, what do you mean you just pay it off in full? I'm like, well, stuff happens, man. There's always going to be a bill. Like I was just happy because I went to a new tax place and it was a lot less than I had to pay the year before because the guy was actually looking for deductions.
Yeah.
And then I go to the dentist and I get a $1,500 bill from the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker. There's never. It feels like you're never going to get ahead, which I think is what frustrates a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's why people give up. They're like, oh, well, if I'm not going to get ahead, I'll just go back to that job and it pays me more and maybe I'll get insurance. And it's taken me a couple of years now to be like, okay, let's try not to freak out. Let's take a step back, because that's when that's one of the things that I do a lot is if I overreact to something and I do something just quickly, it ends up biting me in the butt a lot.
Yeah.
Like it ends up causing more work for me in the future rather than just sitting down and like looking at something objectively.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been working on, but I still do too much.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
What you're telling me right now, it sounds to me like something that's very fresh on my head right now, on my mind. Have you ever read the book The Alchemist?
No. What is that?
It's a really good book. It's fiction, and it's a story of a guy that had a dream, and he leaves his hometown to search his treasure.
Okay.
And he needs to. He's like a Spaniard. He's a kid. He's a shepherd, and he has to go to Egypt because he had a dream that there was a treasure in Egypt by the pyramids.
Okay.
On his journey.
Speaking of Passover.
Speaking of Passover. On his journey over there, there's times where he wants to give up his journey and go back to what he was doing. So like what you told me, sometimes people want to give up. And if you give up, like in the story it says, they told him, I think it was a wise man, he's like, you could give it up and just go back to that lifestyle. And then you're going to regret that you never went for your treasure. Yeah. And what is that treasure in your life? What is that? Your personal legend.
And it might not be money. Like that's the part that's fucking with me recently. Like there's no guarantee that it's going to be money. Yeah. Which is frustrating. Because since I've moved out here, and even as a kid, that was always my goal, was just money. Yeah. And there's no guarantee that that's going to be the prize. And that it sounds sort of like that. Along that same, have you seen, it's like a picture that you see on Facebook 8,000 times a day. It's this dude hammering through rock, and there's diamonds, and there's this one guy turning away dejected, and he's one swing away from the diamonds.
Oh, from chipping away. Yeah.
And then there's someone else still going for it. Yeah. And honestly, what's kept me going is like I would never want to be like, let's say I go back to editing. And I'm making more money, but I'm working 50 hours a week, and I'm working overnights, and then in 3 months, podcasts, I don't know, every podcaster makes $1 million. Let's just say for whatever reason, and then that's six. If I just waited 6 months, then I would have gotten that, or maybe the podcast would go to number one, whatever is going to be the end result, and I guess that's sort of fear. Should we? Is that okay? Can you hear that?
That's okay. He's just putting it in there.
Okay.
Passover.
And that's honestly something that I think about a little bit too. Even though you don't want to quit.
Passover. A little close.
Passover. Even though you don't want to quit, at a certain point, you can't hold on to something for too long either. Yeah. And it's really hard to know when that point is. Yeah. And it's tough. Like, I've almost been thinking about going to therapy recently. Yeah. Because, like, my mom wanted me to go right after my parents got divorced, and I didn't want to go. But I've been kind of looking for someone impartial to talk to about, just to talk to, like, hey, this is what's going on in my life. What do you think about these next few moves? Because, yeah, like, even though Joey would be great for that, you don't really want to talk to your boss like, hey, what do you think about me leaving? It's like, what do you like? You can't say that, or hey, I'm unhappy with the way this is going. Yeah. Or even if it's not about the podcast, I think it'd be good to have someone to just bounce ideas off of. Yeah. And it's hard, especially when you don't have, like I said, an introvert. I don't have a ton of close friends.
Yeah.
So I have a couple people, but it's even gone down since I've been out here because all my close friends were back east and they're married and they went to different colleges. So we grew apart.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of people. It doesn't even have to be our age. It could just be people who are still following their dreams. They need someone to bounce ideas off of. They need it's really valuable. And I feel like a lot of people don't have it.
And I guess it would be hard to ask around, hey, what therapist you see, or like, because some people look down upon that, right? And some people would be like, what's wrong with you? You know, like.
And I don't even know if therapist is the right word. I mean, I guess counselor, therapist. I wouldn't mind asking someone that. But it's what I thought you were going to say was it's hard to find someone to get that comfortable with. And
that too.
And because like you can't just start confiding
the
in
trust,
people. And then especially for you, more so even than me. So let's say you had an issue with a comedy club. And you thought you were friends with a comedian and you vented, and you're not even that mad, but you just sometimes people need to vent. Yeah. For me, I'd be paranoid that comedian is then going to go talk to the club. Yes. Going to go badmouth me to. So, and that's most of my friends have always been where I worked. Yeah. So when they're where you're working, you can't necessarily trust that they're not gonna. That information isn't going to get out. Yeah. So I think it's going to be good. I think it'd be good to have someone totally impartial. Yeah. And who legally can't tell people what you stole them.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean now. Also, not necessarily a therapist, but somebody that you a confidant.
And somebody it could be a therapist. I got a lot of shit going on. Who knows? I need a lot of help, but
you know what's cool though, Lee, is that you don't just confide in anybody, because then you have those people that tell their problems to everybody. It's so fucking annoying, dude. And then they tell you not to tell anybody, and then the other person comes up to you and they're like, hey, did so and so tell you this? I thought he told me not to tell nobody.
I was keeping a secret. Yeah. And now everyone's, and that's the problem. I've pretty much abandoned Facebook, and I'm trying to get back on because it is part of what I do. Yeah. But Facebook kind of bums me out in a way, because it seems like the only people who constantly post to Facebook either have amazing lives that I get jealous of, or have shitty lives that I just. Who wants to hear all that crappy stuff? I
think it's just a facade, man. Everybody's.
It's not that crappy and it's not that good.
It's not that good, I think. Everybody just puts the happy moments.
Well, happy moments, but then. And I even I do get a little jealous, but it's nice to see people who you in theory like doing well. But for the bad moments, like on the opposite end of the spectrum from the person I want to be, who goes into any room and is happy and is always great, there's always someone who, and I feel bad for them, but it just seems like every step they make, like they're getting fired, or their girlfriend left them, or oh, they don't have a house now, or their car broke down. It's like, how can all this shit be happening to one person? And I don't know if it's self-inflicted, because you would have to think all that stuff happening is like you want to blame them, but then the more and more people I meet and the older I get, I just think some people get a shitty hand sometimes. And I don't it's like that would suck to have that be your life. Yeah. I've been very lucky. I grew up in a very upper class town. My parents moved in right before I got super rich, and I went to a great school. Like, I'm dating a girl now from Inglewood, which is like if you saw the movie Dope, they filmed it like on her street.
Really? I love that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. But like we were talking, and just the she would have teachers just not show up, and they'd be playing N64 in the classroom, and they didn't have the club. Yeah, they didn't have the club. And she was at like a charter school, so a nicer school. Yeah. And like just the advantages that I had growing up without even realizing it. Yeah. It's not that I feel guilty about having them, because it's nothing that I did, but it's crazy to think of people who don't have that. And yeah, there are a lot of people who overcome and do great, but then it just makes me sad sometimes for like if you want to work at like a minimum wage job your whole life, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And if you're happy, that's awesome. But it just sucks that a lot of people maybe feel like they don't have any other options.
Yeah.
Or like college is so expensive now that they don't want to go through that. Like, hey, I'll just work. Yeah. Like, why am I going to go to college and spend $50,000 over 4 years when I could be making $30,000 a year now or $20,000 a year now? And like, Joey never asked me about my college degree, so I ended up not needing it for right now. But I can't imagine trying to find a job now without it. And it's something that I've been noticing a lot. Like those early jobs that I had, movie theater, CVS, were always kids my age, 16, 17, 15, something like that. And the more and more every store I go into has like an adult like working at those jobs. And it makes me feel weird, like to like be buying like shampoo from like a 50-year-old guy or something like that. And then it makes me sad that kids won't have those jobs anymore.
Yeah.
So then they're not gonna have that experience that I had. Like I've worked nonstop since I was 14.
Me too. I think the longest vacation from work I've had 7 months.
Wow. Okay.
Since 14. Yeah.
And it was great. Those are still some of my best friends, and I bought my first car. Like I grew up in a town that kids were getting BMWs.
Where was this at?
It's in Sudbury. It's Sudbury, Massachusetts. It's right outside of Framingham. It's about like 45 minutes outside of Boston. And people were like getting BMWs. I remember this one kid had an Escalade, and I was rolling up to school.
Mommy and Daddy gave it to me.
And it used to bum me out. And I rolled up to school in a '97 Chevy Cavalier that was teal, Rally Sport Edition, which I don't know what that meant, but like it had power. It didn't have power or anything. And when I bought it, the horn didn't work, so I brought it to this auto body shop. And I must have just brought it to the worst one, because they installed literally like a button on my left side for the horn.
Yeah.
But what it turned out what it was just a fuse was popped. So for the rest of the time I had the car, every time I pressed the horn, I would hear click, 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 because they like disconnected the horn.
Yeah.
And like the doors would freeze. One time in the winter, I slid through a stop sign.
Yeah.
I just slid right through it, and luckily I grew up in a small town and no one killed me.
What do you mean slid? Like ice?
Yeah, like I hit the brakes and I just you hear.
That's so
and
scary.
You just slide right through. And you're like, oh well, I'm dead now.
Yeah.
But I think it really helped me. Like I think that helped me.
Earning your own shit.
Oh yeah. And I never got in an accident with it. And I don't remember how old I was. I think I might have been 16. And my dad, he put it in my name and his name, because then I didn't have any credit.
Yeah.
He put a credit. He gave me a credit card, and he said, you can use it whatever you want, but as soon as you can't pay he wasn't paying the bill. As soon as you can't pay your bill, I'm taking it from you. Yeah. So I've had a credit card since I was 16, and
oh wow.
So I have a little bit of a balance on a couple of them now that I'm paying off, but like it scares me to think about having 10 maxed out credit cards and paying 30% interest on it. I don't think enough kids coming from that area, and it's sort of the opposite end. It's the kids who grow up in Inglewood who don't have shit have that issue, but then there's a lot of kids who I went to school with who just are still living at home, working the high school jobs. I'm like, you didn't prepare them at all,
man. It's the way you bring up kids. It can really. It's obvious that it's going to affect their future, man. I have a friend that became homeless.
No.
And when I saw him in the street, he's back at his mom's house, but when I saw him in the street, it broke my heart.
Yeah, how could it not?
You know, and it's like, because he was sheltered the whole time, dude. I remember when we were kids, I'm not going to get into the story too much because it's a long story, but we both pretty much got in trouble with the law.
Okay.
My mom left me. I pretty much got arrested in juvie. My mom left me in jail to learn my lesson.
For how long?
And I'll tell you after the podcast when we go eat.
Okay.
How long? I'll tell you what I did. But for 3 nights.
Okay.
And it was 2 other friends. Their moms picked them up the same night.
Yeah, of course.
And here we are in the future now. My friend still lives at home, and he's sheltered, and he was homeless at one point.
Jesus.
And it's like my mom always brought me up to earn my own shit. Like you said, you bought your own car. I bought my own car too when I was young. I remember this commercial. I don't know if you remember this commercial when Nintendo 64 came out. There was a commercial that a kid was working at, I don't know if it was a fast food restaurant, and then when he got paid, he looks at his check and he's like, yes, perfect, and it was the exact amount.
Really?
It was $250, and then he cashed it and went to buy a Nintendo 64. I'm like, that commercial really sent a good message.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really did, because it made me want to like start working. I was 13 actually. So I started washing my neighbors' windows and their car windows.
Oh yeah, you had like your own little jobs.
Yeah.
What else did you do?
I would do that. I would wash their windows, and then I had the kids in the neighborhood join me, and then I would pay them.
Oh, wow, you did a lot better than I did. You had like a little racket. How much would you pay the kids?
Like 75 cents a window or so, and then I would keep $1.
Hey man,
I would tell my neighbors, and they thought it was cute because they're like, I would be like, if you want all 5 windows of your cars or 6 windows, it's this price, and this is this price. And then I went and bought me Armor All. I'm like, I'll do detail too and shit like that. But when I turned 14, I got me a job at McDonald's, and that's ever since then I've been working. You know,
I'll tell you because I have a couple of similar stories.
Yeah,
how was McDonald's?
It was cool.
Do you ever eat there anymore, or is it totally just disgusting?
I still eat there. I eat there on the way over here, but it's not disgusting to me.
I love fast food.
I love fast food, but I'll tell you what, I will choose the Whopper over Big Mac any day.
Whoa, I think Burger King is the worst. I think Burger King is the lowest of the low for fast food. What do you like more about it?
Well, just the Whopper. I would say the Whopper is what. Dude, I showed up when I was 14 on my way to work in my McDonald's uniform. I went inside Burger King and got me a Whopper, and everybody thought it was so cool that a McDonald's employee.
You could have gotten fired your first day. Thank God there weren't camera phones.
Yeah, thank God there was no camera phones. This is before the Cricket or the little Nokia snake phone.
Oh, I had that phone.
Yeah.
Wow. So you went in with your McDonald's uniform,
McDonald's hat. I sat down and ate my Whopper, and then walked another block to
Why
McDonald's.
didn't you just get a job at Burger King?
I guess the job was too easy to get at McDonald's. They just offered it to me. It was a lady that
you didn't apply.
I didn't even apply. Hey kid, you want a job?
All right, let me go get this Whopper. I'll be right back.
My sister knew the manager, and I had mentioned to my sister I wanted a job, so they just gave it to me.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear that? Speaking of McDonald's, there's a new like Ultra Mac or Super Mac.
Really?
It's the same Big Mac, but it's like more meat. It's like a third of a pound.
Oh wow.
Which I don't know how much is in the Big Mac.
Yeah, it's really thin. I like the Big Mac, don't get me wrong, but...
Oh, yeah, Big Mac...
You don't like the Whopper?
You know what?
The Whopper's great, and don't add cheese. Don't ruin it. I love cheese.
How can you not get cheese on a burger? There has to be cheese on a burger.
But when it comes to a Whopper, that's an insult.
Okay, all right. The reason why I'm not a huge fan of Burger King is only because there really weren't anywhere I was growing up.
Oh, okay.
My favorite's Wendy's.
Wendy's?
Like, still to this day.
Yeah.
If I get a little stoned and I want to cheat, Wendy's would be the best.
When I used to smoke, when I was a teenager, Wendy's was my shit.
Spicy chicken sandwich all the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah.
About those little
jobs.
It's funny that you said that.
Yeah.
In second grade, I put up a sign at the front of my driveway, and I did weeding. I think I only did like 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And the kids in my class were not stupid, but I lived right by the school, so as soon as I walked in the class, like, are you having a wedding? It's like, no, it's Lee's weeding. I did that, and then my first. It wasn't even. I don't even know how much we did it, but my dad was always big into technology, so he wouldn't wait for like the second version of anything to come out to like get the bugs out of it. So we had like probably one of the first computers with the internet.
Oh wow!
And it was my idea that for people who didn't have the internet, that they would call me and tell me what they wanted to search or what they wanted to see, and I would print out pages of the internet for them.
Wow, really? So and you would charge them?
I don't know if I ever did that.
Oh.
That might just be something that I had like a a pipe dream for. What I did a lot of babysitting.
A lot of babysitting? Okay.
Yeah, I did that. I was an umpire for Little League, which I'm not that great because I was too short. So, like, if the pitchers would stand up, if the catchers would stand up, I'd be like, I don't really know. I just kind of make it up.
Yeah.
I did that.
You got paid for that?
Oh, yeah. That was a great gig. $20 a game.
Oh, wow.
When I was in... Yeah, I was either in early high school or late middle school because my mom still had to drive me.
Yeah.
Like, my mom would sit there and watch as, like, a spectator, as me being an ump. But yeah, that was a great. I loved all those jobs. That I worked at CVS for a couple of years, and then the movie theater off and on. And I had a couple, like, honestly, serving jobs, especially out here, I think are great. Because when I was a server in Mass, they paid you $2.63 an hour, and then based off your tips, that would always be like your checks would just be voided out.
Yeah.
Out here in California, they get like $10 an hour and then tips.
And out here, I heard you don't keep your tips, like you share them, right?
Well, you share them at most restaurants.
Oh, really?
Like you have to tip out the bartenders and the bar backs.
Oh, yeah, you always do that. But I heard that, I guess it's really big out here now, where everybody has to put the tips together.
Oh, fuck that. I used to hate that.
Yeah,
That's
right?
pooling. Fuck you.
Pooling, yes. And that sucks because then you have people that are shitty service.
Yeah, and what if you have a table of 18...
Yeah.
And you're getting steaks and opening wine bottles. Yeah. And this other guy had 2 tables and he was selling cheeseburgers all night. Yeah. And you have to give him, and you have to split with, that's...
Yeah, you got this guy with great personality.
I used to hate tipping out. I used to hate,
tipping out,
like the food runners and stuff. I used to bum me out if they, if they were doing their job, But then it would always stink when... Like, you'd ask a food runner to do something, they wouldn't do it, and then they're still coming around at the end of the night looking for their whatever it is, 10%.
Yeah, you have to tip everybody out. Just like right now, I don't know if that's what they do here at this coffee shop, but I asked for water. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed, but the girl, I'm like, excuse me, ma'am. I said it really nicely. Yeah. Finally. She turns around. She's like, what? I'm like, fuck. It's like shitty service.
Never mind. Oh, yeah.
Is there some shitty service out here?
Yeah. Everyone always says that people are a lot nicer out here. Yeah. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I feel like they might be a little bit less gruff, but like I love East Coast servers who just, they might not be the friendliest, but like they're good at their job and they'll get you everything. And then if you keep going, like I love places where if you keep going, they start knowing you.
Yeah. Yes.
The only time that's not true is when I was working nights and the drive-through people started to recognize me. Like when I was getting really like it was a big, like I've lived in the same, I don't know, 5-mile radius the entire time I've been out here. Let's say I could tell you every fast food place. Like I know all of them. I know which places are open late. Yeah. And like one of the biggest wake-up calls was Jack in the Box. Yeah. A lady was like, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow." I was like, "Oh no, that can't happen." Like that was one of the scariest things for me. Was when like they start did you at McDonald's? You must have seen that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had regulars. I had this guy that would ask for cheeseburgers with no cheese, or he would ask for burgers with nothing, just the patties, and it was for his dog. Okay. Yeah. And he was a regular. Every day he would show up.
That poor dog.
2-3 patties.
A lot of diarrhea.
2-3 patties. And then his dog was in the passenger seat and he would just feed him in the mouth. Okay. Yeah. We had our regulars. I remember that. Yeah. I was a food server as well. Okay. For a while. And I remember my regulars as a food server.
I like being a server. The only thing, what kind of restaurant was it at?
It was a coffee shop. Okay. So it was open 24 hours.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough when I was a server it's a seafood place, so it was kind of expensive.
Oh yeah, that made some good money.
So you make good money. Yeah. Like my heart goes out to like the Denny's servers. Yeah. Or coffee shop, any of that, because if you're killing yourself with like 10 tables. Yeah. And what breakfast is at most $20 for 2 people, 3 people, so you're making $4. Yeah. On a table. That seems crazy.
That's why I like those new. There's some places where they give you a receipt. When they bring your check, on the bottom it says the percentage. To tip. And it tells you this is 15, this is 10, this is 20. I like that.
Oh, I like that. But then, did you ever run into an issue with someone who, not that they were a like a mean person and a bad tipper, but like they were from a different country and didn't know about tipping?
Yes.
Oh, so it bummed me out. I had 2 European people, and they just
they don't tip out there.
They just don't. They don't tip, and they don't. I don't know if they didn't know, or who knows. Maybe they did know, and they thought because we figured they don't know, they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But that's a terrible feeling. I always feel bad when you see that stuff on social media. It's like someone getting like a $1 tip on like $100 or something. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You know what though?
Because I actually noticed that. I would never have done it. You tipped today at the coffee shop, not even like a server. And you tipped like the counter person.
I felt bad. I felt bad giving 15% too. I was gonna do the 20. And I'm like, but they're just drinks, so I feel bad.
Oh, I don't tip for that. The one thing that I
feel bad if I don't tip.
Yeah, I feel bad at like restaurants.
Yeah.
Probably one of my best jobs ever was takeout at that seafood place, because I think I got paid like something like $10 or $11 an hour.
Yeah.
Which was great for me in high school, but then I got tips.
Yeah.
So getting tipped, like I never had to take money out. I always had money.
Yes.
Hundreds of
that was always nice.
Awesome.
Being a food, you didn't have to wait for your paycheck.
No.
You had money every day, bro.
Money every day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Did you ever? I'm trying to think. Like, do you ever not tip now? I've had a couple situations.
Even in bad service, my wife will be like, "No, let's not tip." But at the end, they always win my heart back. Like they put a little smiley face on the thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll leave a bad tip.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't think I've ever not tipped.
Yeah.
But like for me, like you just said, I don't think I can. Under 15%, I don't think I've done, unless it was like terrible.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to do it.
Yeah.
Like I was always just minimum 20%.
What if it's bad service? Have you ever complained?
About service?
If it's bad service and it's like you're like, let's say Paula's food is out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, she's eating now. Like, what the fuck? What about me?
I don't know. See, that gives me that gives me the introvert anxiety again.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Would you be passive on that?
I'm more passive when it comes to me. If like let's say I was eating and Paula wasn't eating, then I might get mad.
Okay.
I get more. I've gotten better at getting mad at people on the phone now.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like this one dentist I just went to screwed me over. Like I have insurance.
Yeah.
And they were trying to charge me like $1,500 for like a root canal that I'm pretty sure I don't even need. Mm-hmm. And then I went in, and
a lot of them are scam artists, dude.
Oh, they're scam artists, and they're like, okay, you have this cavities on your top and on your bottom on your left, and we're gonna do all of it. So I was like, okay. And then as soon as I got, I was like, okay, well we didn't do the bottom, so you have to come back for that. And even though you have insurance and it says it's $20 a tooth, they were so bad that we had to do this, and we had to put sensitizers in, and your insurance doesn't cover sensitizers, so now these 3 cavities, which should have been $60, is now $500.
Yeah.
So like in the past I would have just done it, but now like I went and I found a new dentist, and then I feel bad. But at a certain point, you have to tell I'll tell these people, I'm like, hey man, I know this isn't your fault, but your company's garbage. Like I told that to my insurance company. Yeah. Because my insurance company, they fucked me over recently, and I was like, I used to just put up with it. Yeah.
But you took a stand this time. You're like, fuck that. I'm getting this is my fucking mouth.
Nothing even ever happens, which is sort of the frustrating part about it. Like my parents, I think one of the main reasons why I didn't do that is my parents were big into. I get it. Like if they're unhappy with the service, they're gonna tell you. But like they'll yell. Not so much anymore.
Like at a restaurant.
Oh yeah, my dad. I remember once we went to the new sushi place in town, and my dad was upset because someone who came in after us got seated before us, and he went crazy.
I can't see your dad yelling, man. He's always so calm on the podcast.
He's changed a lot. He's changed a lot over the last few years. So that always not that they were mean, but they didn't care about that sort of stuff. And my mom has stopped a lot recently too, but because of that as a kid, it not scarred me, but it made me not want to do that. Like, okay, I'll never do that. But it bugs me even more at places where I used to work. So there was a rule at CVS: if there were more than 3 people in line, you had to call backup, more registers. So now like I won't go to certain CVS's because I know that they're terrible, and you'll spend 40 minutes in line.
Yep.
There's an electronics store out here called Fry's.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the ones I go to, but they never have anything. Like, they never have what they're supposed to have, and then no one ever helps you.
Fuck them, man.
So
fuck the one in Vegas too, by the way.
Yeah, fuck. So it's not a little. It is passive aggressive. Yeah. But like, I went yesterday to get a cord, and I couldn't tell if it was the right one. So I just straight up opened the box. I like tore the box open, and it wasn't the right one.
Yeah.
And I would have never done that in the past. I would have went and found somebody and like, hey, is this right? And I'm like, I'm not going to try to find anybody in this godforsaken place. So I just ripped the box open. Like, I do like that. If I feel like someone's fucking with me, and like doing stuff like that, I'll be a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this is kind of therapy. Maybe this is passive aggressive, and I shouldn't. I'm putting negative energy in the world. But like, I like knocking stuff over on shelves a little bit. I'll get a little. I'll get, if I get pissed a little bit, I'll be like, "Fuck you, you son of a bitch." Yeah. and it makes me feel a little bit better in the time. Like,
you know what's fun?
What?
Go to the toilet paper aisle.
Okay.
And karate chop it. Karate chop the wrapping.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you have the toilet paper, like Scott toilet paper or whatever.
Yeah.
You karate chop with the tip of your fingers. You'll slice it.
Oh,
and it feels so fucking good. It feels like you're a badass. Just walk and start slicing everything, and you'll leave these slices.
But then when people pick it up, all the toilet paper is gonna fall.
No, it'll still be intact. It'll still be intact. I do it in front of my wife all the time. She's like, "Come on, babe." I'm like, in my Heelys, I'm all sliding through, and I'm like,
Are those Heelys?
No, I didn't bring them this time.
Oh, if I had Heelys, I would never stop wearing them.
They're so cool.
Those are like the original hoverboard.
Yeah, they're really cool, man. I love fucking Heelys.
I feel like I'd fall. Do you have good balance?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I only fell once in Disneyland.
How did you fall?
Me and Lizzie got in a fight, and she was with her brother and her family, and this was like 5-7 years ago. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go take a walk, and I left, and sometimes when I would leave,
you wheeled away.
Yeah, I didn't want her to catch me. Like, sometimes she'd be like, no babe, come back or something, and I start running. I'm looking behind me, and I go outside of the park, Disneyland, and I'm by. Have you been there?
No.
Downtown Disney. No.
I've been to downtown Disney.
Okay, so I'm running towards downtown Disney, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna glide, and I start gliding, and I was going too fast. See,
you picked up too much speed.
Too much speed, and see, the thing is with Heelys, when you put your foot down, that's the brakes. My foot went down, and I just fucking rolled, and I scraped my knees, my hands.
Was her entire family watching you?
No, thank God.
That would have been the end of it.
Oh my God. But dude, it was one of those where, have you ever hurt yourself really hard, like elbow, or you almost feel like crying?
Oh yeah.
Like a kid? I hit so hard with the ground, but I rolled, so I got back up immediately.
And then still wheeling?
No, at this point,
that would have been the best.
I did like a ninja roll, and now I'm running, and I'm almost crying, and I'm looking around, making sure nobody saw me. It was embarrassing, and yeah.
You're lucky. I almost.
Yeah.
The first time I met Paula's brother, or one of the first times, it might not have been the first.
Yeah.
I was over there for Thanksgiving, and he's an intimidating guy. He's big. He has a lot of tattoos.
Yeah.
And I want to make a good impression. And her cousin knocks over a water bottle, so I lean over to go pick it up, and I'm heavy, and the chair just starts tipping, and I start falling over. I almost. Sure, like Paul, like they had to catch me from falling over, and I scraped up the wall. I got a mark. I had to go and get like a magic. Oh God, you almost
broke my fucking Zoom.
This one. I had to go and get like a magic eraser. Like, I felt so bad about it.
Oh my God! You scraped the wall and everything with the chair.
The wall. I feel like, did I break a chair? No. I feel like I've done a couple things at their house that they just make fun of me for. I think I did. Like, I did. They had not cheap, but they had like chairs that you put together from like a Target or something, or IKEA. And I think I leaned again and like something snapped. So they went out and got like a metal like chair set that was like to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Joey used to have on his balcony. He used to have like those white plastic chairs.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, I'm still fat or chubby, but I used to be 315.
Yeah, you lost a lot of weight.
And so when I would, like, especially when I first started hanging out with them,
Yeah.
I would never sit in them. And if I would, I would never
the plastic lawn ones?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would never be comfortable because they would start wiggling.
I hate those. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
The worst is like that's. Thank God I never like legit broke a chair. That would have been. I don't think I would. I would have to. I would have to move. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
Were you heavier when you were a server?
No, that's when that was right before I got married. So I was like around 215. I'm 6 foot tall. So
I would always be sweating.
Yeah.
It was not a good look.
I always sweat because I run on the hot. Like I told you, I like to be cold.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
What does Lissy do about like AC in the house?
Well, when it comes to AC in the house, I'm like, you know what? I could bring you one of those throw. What do you call it?
Blankets?
Yeah, throwback or throwaway, or you put them on the couch. They're like those nice snuggly.
Yeah, throw
like,
blankets. I think.
Yeah, I could bring you that and let me be comfortable.
Yeah,
because I'm miserable now if it's hot. And what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
I'm sweating here like a pig.
Like I don't. It's changed since I've lost weight. Like I used to have my AC at like 69.
It does help losing weight, right?
And now I'm at like 72, 73 at night. But Paula used to have a joke that because I took her back to Boston once, and when I was big, so I'd always have the AC on, and she's like, "Okay, I'm just in training for Boston because it's like 60 degrees in your house."
Yeah, yeah,
and it's freezing.
Yeah,
it's.
I like the winter more. Do you like the winter, or what do you prefer?
I don't like snow.
I don't like snow at all. That's why I moved from Reno.
Reno has snow?
Yes. Fuck snow.
Oh, okay.
Lizzie ended up with the car in the ditch twice by her house.
Oh, no.
Because sliding and her mom got in an accident once also because somebody ran a red light and they slid into them.
Oh, no.
So I was like, I'm done with snow. People don't know how to. They'll never learn. You know who are the worst? The people with the good cars.
Like the nice fancy cars,
yeah, like the Subarus with all-wheel drive.
Oh, okay.
Because they think they could go through anything, and they're the ones you always fucking find in the ditch and shit.
Oh, I love that. That makes me. I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Yeah.
But I like if like people go through like a big puddle and their car gets stuck. Like there was this a couple months ago. There was this big rainstorm.
Yeah.
In the valley where I live in L.A. And there was this video of this guy. It wasn't even like a bad puddle, but he just got flustered and had like literally like jumped and abandoned his car. it was like the funniest. He jumped off of his car, like he had gone onto like the roof and like jumped onto like the sidewalk or something. Like,
oh my god,
it's just so funny to me when people don't know how to handle.
I take pleasure.
From a place when there's weather.
It's crazy. I take pleasure in stuff like that, man. Is that bad?
What do you mean?
Like when I see somebody like fuck up for something really stupid.
I take pleasure in it, but I'm trying not to anymore. Like
you knocking down this thing. I could just see you at Fry's knocking shit over.
That fuck them. They deserve what they get. But like every once in a while, like Periscope has a lot of weirdos. Like Periscope has a lot of people who are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I used to like sharing those. Like I would share on Twitter just because it's funny because like there's these guys who are like, oh, I don't know why I don't have a girlfriend or like there's like just crazy. I don't even know what they're doing, but just crazy people.
Do you do the whole going through the world and just random finding?
Oh yeah, that's where I'm finding. Not people that I follow.
Oh okay.
But it's no, it's okay. But it's I felt bad about it.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad. Like there was this one woman the other day. It depends. If they're making an ass out of themselves, fuck them. But there was this one woman who was like really happy, like super excited about these yoga pants she got, and she had a whole Periscope about it. She's like, they're right here, and she was showing them. Yeah. And I wanted to share, but I was like, she's having fun. It's fun for her.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Like it's ridiculous, but I never want to come across like it's an overused word, but I don't want to be a bully.
I know what you mean.
At a certain
where do you draw the line for that though, man? Because I've gotten in trouble for doing shit like that. Like okay, like look, when we make fun of somebody, a stranger across the country, somebody you don't know, like let's say we make a meme out of it and we share it, it's hilarious and that person has no idea, right? Okay, one day I was at a bar and I saw this lady that looked like I can't think of the name, but she looked like a male actor.
Okay.
And I took a picture of her, and then I made a meme out of it, and I put, "This is so and so." Somehow, somebody on my Instagram found it, and they say, "Hey, that's my aunt. Can you please put that down?" Yeah, and I felt bad. I'm like, and then I said, "Wait, no, I'm not gonna put it." I put my foot down. I said, I had to draw. I don't know. I felt. This is somebody that followed me, and they took pleasure in other things, but because this time it was somebody they knew,
right?
And then I said, this person was out in public, and no, I'm not gonna take it down. But I legit felt bad because they asked me, what if that was your mom, or what? I'm like, that's true, but my mom is in public. It's okay as long as they're not hurting her. But I don't know. I still feel. I think
my own personal not rule, but what I try is like, if they're being goofy, or if they're just like, I don't know, if it's like a really fat guy just being fat, every once in a while I want to take a picture or something like that. But if they're not,
I'm gonna look it up while you're saying that.
If they're just doing something that makes them happy, but they're not being obnoxious, or they're not really hurting anyone, I try not to do it. But like, if someone parks like an asshole, I'm gonna take a picture of that car. I don't care about license plates. If someone's being crazy and doing weird stuff, then I can make fun of them. But if they're just being happy by themselves, I don't care.
I gotta show you this picture. This is on my Instagram. Just an example. Me and my friends were in our car in Vegas, and we see this old man that looked like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
So then I do the side by side doppelganger or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not the person that complained to me, but doesn't that look pretty good? Like,
and that's where you have to like, because that guy's never gonna see that.
He's never gonna see that.
That guy's 80 years old.
Yeah.
But that's, and not that it's not no judgment on yours.
Yeah.
But that's one like I used to do, but now I'm like, man, that guy's just in a car. I don't want to fuck with him. He's just a fat guy in a car. I don't want to ruin his day.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Because like, I don't know. I don't want to say bullied, even though probably was, but like, I don't know. I was teased and stuff like that. So I never want to be the reason someone else is sad.
Yeah, I've been in trouble, like I said, locally, especially in Reno. And the picture I'm gonna show you is this lady in Reno. Reno's a small town, dude, so everybody knows everybody. But there was this one time where I took a picture of a gay dude, and I came across as gay bashing, because this guy had. He had a fucking, his hairstyle looked like you ever seen The Weeknd, the singer The Weeknd?
Yeah.
With his hair, it was almost like that, but it was a Mexican dude, and it was like a wave, and his hair was all like, you could tell it was blow dried.
Okay, see, that guy's being crazy.
Yes.
That guy's just weird.
And his shirt was down to the fucking belly button and everything. So I took a picture of him, and then I had no idea who this was. It was at a club, and I said, this guy must have an amazing blow dryer. I put like blow in capital letters and a bunch of O's. Next thing you know, dude, I got hit up by like 10, 12 different girls on my thread on Facebook saying, Ricky, that's not right, Ricky. And they took it like I was gay bashing.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it was a guy across the country, I think they would have never cared.
No, of course they wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and I think you're right. I think that's where, if a guy is out with that hairdo, he wants to be seen.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to be careful with it, I guess.
This guy got so mad. Everybody told him who I was and everything.
Really?
Yeah. So he tried to inbox me. I blocked him. Next thing you know, he created a profile. He had a separate profile as a drag queen, as a girl. Months later, I accepted the thing. Next thing you know, he inboxes me again and says, "You stupid motherfucker, who do you think you are?" I'm like, what? Let it go, bro.
Oh no.
So I actually apologized to that guy, and I took the picture down.
I can, the one, and there was a girl.
Here it is.
Okay, let me look before I tell.
Okay, I said she looked like Gary Busey. Come on, that looks like Gary Busey, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
Right?
I can see that being Gary Busey.
Yeah. Here, I got a yeah, especially right there. Look how she was making her mouth. She was super drunk. So she was super drunk, but she was by herself, and she was making all these weird faces, and everybody was staring at her.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where I think the line comes. If she was just eating at a restaurant, being, oh yeah, no, she's crazy. Okay.
She's acting weird. She was really drunk.
It's
actually video.
Yeah, she's drunk, and she's dropping food all over herself.
Fuck her.
Not fuck her, but if you're gonna do that in public, I feel like that's the point where you can start not making fun of.
Yeah.
I got in trouble, not really with anybody in general other than her. But before Paula and I, right when the podcast started, the one and only time I ever hooked up with a girl through the podcast, it was back in Boston. And we would talk.
My man.
and I'm not even because I went home. And I'm not good at one night stands.
Yeah.
So like even with her, who was gonna be like a one night stand sort of thing, like we would talk all the time. It was like we were dating. Like it was stupid.
Yeah.
But she told me once that she didn't like grape jelly, which is no big deal. And on the podcast, I brought that up. I was like, how can someone not like grape jelly? And she got so... I didn't say her name.
You didn't say her name? No.
I didn't say who. And she's like, how could you say that? How could you do that? That blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what are you talking? Like,
yeah.
So, like, there's a line... There's definitely a line to cross bullying.
Yeah.
But then there's definitely another line of being way too sensitive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You didn't mention her name.
No.
You know, she's the one outing herself. It reminds me of that... I don't know if you saw this video a couple years ago, but it was a lady that was texting at a mall and she falls into the fountain.
No, but I'm gonna find it now.
Okay, so you can't tell who the lady is. It just looks like a woman, and she's texting, falls into the fountain, gets up, looks around, and then she gets out of the fountain and goes on her way. Well, the security guards, the security guards released the tape on YouTube.
Of course they did.
They got fired. But
really?
Then, they got fired. It went viral. But then the lady comes out on Anderson Cooper's, like now she's trying to do a lawsuit and this and that. And she's like, I have been shamed. My life is not the same no more. And you know, this is bullying. And then Anderson Cooper says, the only reason we know who you are is because you are trying to do a lawsuit.
Right.
No one knew who you were. No one. You don't.
Oh, so it wasn't like. Oh, this is her.
Her face wasn't even exposed.
Oh, yeah,
it was a shitty black and white. You see the image of a woman falling into the thing.
Perfect.
But you know, she's like, she's and Anderson got her
on Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
That's.
Fuck
people
her.
Are weird. I don't know what like. And the thing I think about with stuff like that, and like the dentist who screwed me over, or anybody who lives their life like that, I wonder if they know. Mm-hmm. Like it weirds me out. I'm like, do they know that they're being crazy?
Yeah.
Or do they think they're normal?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I would love to talk to her and be like, was that a mistake on your part, or do you still think that was right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will. Dude, if that was you, what would you do? If you were not the lady, but just a dude that falls into a fountain because you're texting.
That could definitely happen. That's definitely in the realm of possibility.
And then you become a viral video. Or let's just say you become a meme. I always wonder if I'm a meme somewhere. What would you be offended, honored, or feel bullied? What would you do, man?
It's tough. I think the answer is different now that I've been podcasting.
Okay.
Because I don't read YouTube comments anymore. I still get some hate tweets and stuff every now and then. Not that often. But I've just...
Do you block them?
It's sometimes.
Okay.
More often I'll mute.
That's better.
So that they don't know.
Yeah, because they could take a screenshot and use it as a fucking trophy.
That or... I never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to give them the benefit of like, I made them block me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But every once in a while, there'll be one that is annoying or hurts. Like, so I'm not going to say that it wouldn't affect me at all if I had like a really awful meme. And this is not an invitation for your listeners to start making terrible memes, because you could make 1,000 of them with any image from the podcast.
Yeah.
But I've become less sensitive.
Okay.
So... And then it's also just in the way the internet's blown up. Stories go away really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a shitty week.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. But if you get out of the spotlight, eventually people are going to forget about it. I hope.
That's what Ari says all the time. You just got to let shit pass and it's going to go away.
Yeah.
Stop talking about it and it's going to go away.
Like that doctor, I feel bad for that doctor in Miami who attacked that Uber driver.
Oh, yeah. She was hot.
She was hot, and you know what? I'm not a big alcohol person, but that's unbelievable to me. Because she could be a very sweet girl.
Yeah.
She could be a very good doctor.
Yeah.
But she had one bad night.
Yeah.
Made a couple bad decisions. And she'll probably have to change her name now.
Yeah.
And who knows if she'll even be able to be she just went through medical school. That's 7 years plus 4 years of college plus doing well in high school.
Yeah.
And because she had one bad night and the internet, she got fired.
You know what I think she needs to do? I think you're onto something. I think she needs to leave the country.
Oh, yeah.
And go work in Europe with all those degrees.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know where you would go. I don't even know if Europe would be the...
That sucks, though, man. Imagine.
Yeah.
You're that girl that bullied that guy and threw his shit all over the fucking place.
Yeah, she definitely will have to at least, at the minimum, change her name.
Yeah.
Because you have to assume that people are going to Google you now.
Yeah.
Which for me is now, and that going back to when I was said, every once in a while I look for job postings. There's no point in me doing that.
Yeah.
No one's going to hire me now with thousands of hours of me being stoned out of my mind on the internet. If you Google my name, it's gonna come up in my. I look crazy. So there's no way any normal play. I would have to probably change my name, I guess.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I like the internet, but you just said, Ari, the more and more I'm thinking that getting rid of smartphones might be the way to go. Honestly,
I've considered that.
And I think I have another year and a half left on this phone.
Yeah. Oh, the iPhone.
But I honestly, because it sounds old. Now I feel like an old person. But I remember when there weren't cell phones, and I basically grew up. I missed the big block one.
Yeah.
I remember my dad having a car phone, so I've grown up and seen the evolution of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, speaking of that snake Nokia phone, I feel like that's the perfect phone. That's all you really...
Yeah.
Especially now, because a lot of people say, oh, well, I need it for GPS. You could buy a GPS unit. I still have one. I don't use it anymore because I have a phone.
Yeah.
But if I had a flip phone or a GPS, I wouldn't need a smartphone. It's great.
Yeah.
But I waste so much of my day on Twitter.
What if when your contract is over, keep your phone as a tablet, and only when you're at home with Wi-Fi, use it?
I'm always home.
Oh.
I'm always somewhere with Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I'm always
Oh, okay.
And that's something I have to get better at. So that's, I don't know. I say that, but then in the same breath, I love new technology.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what I do. So I
thought about that too, man, with the whole Ari got rid, for the listeners that might not know, Ari Shaffir, a comedian, he got rid of his smartphone and just went to a flip phone.
Right.
And he's been doing that for about a year and a half now or so.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Especially for me, because I don't have a set schedule.
Yeah.
So I have to be, and I'm still not good at, I'm getting better, but I'm still not great at it, of self-motivating. And when there's Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff at your fingertips, it makes it hard for me to focus and do work. And then it's tough at dinner with people, taking your phone out.
Mm-hmm. Right now, I hate having my phone facing up, because I just got a text that has nothing to do.
Right.
It's a group text, and that distracted me.
Yeah.
So I put it in my pocket.
And I've said it before, but I honestly think that's one of...
Passover
on two wheels.
Yeah, that was 2 shots for you guys.
My favorite part about podcasting, and this is something that I don't think the listeners get to really hear or experience, is that it's a conversation that you can't have your phone out because you're going to not be a part of. So it's like forcing you to have a real conversation.
Yeah.
And it's honestly my favorite part about podcasting. And when I'm listening to a podcast, I like to be driving, because if I'm at home listening, I'll be on my phone and I'll miss certain things.
Yeah. And
that's why, and I know I'm kind of jumping, it's all around the same theory though. I personally am a much bigger fan of comedy CDs than I am of specials. Because CDs, a lot of the time people are in the car.
Yeah.
And they're forced to listen, and there's not distractions, and they're not looking at some shot on stage, or they're not looking at their phone. So I feel, I'm not going to say we've gone too far, because I'm not giving up most of the technology, and I love it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good to have a couple things that take you away from it.
Yeah.
And even though we're recording this now, so with even more advanced technology, so it's not really taken away from, but it's hard. It's hard. And it's so fun, and everything's on there, and like now they have smart kitchens and smart air. Like, it's getting to be that it's just
curtains, fucking lights,
and I'd love it.
Yeah.
I would love to have a smart house and just control everything, but then like
smart locks, for your front door.
Oh yeah.
And that shit is bullshit. I agree with Uncle Joey. Talked about it. He's like, that shit could get hacked. Fuck that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it could get hacked. Didn't Jeep get hacked? Like a few months ago. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Jeep, like the cars, like they were able to hack in and like stop cars.
That's what scares me with the self-drives. Yeah.
Oh, I want it.
That's gonna be the terrorist act. Cool from the future.
There's that. I haven't even thought about that. That's true. But not even hacking. I'm scared of my phone today crashed. Like, I had to reset it.
Yeah.
What happens when you're going 80 miles an hour and your Tesla reboots? Like, I know they must have something built into it that overrides that, but
like you got to step on the brakes, or you
have to step on the brakes or something. But what it's gonna, like, there's gonna be terrible accidents. And they're going to have to create a whole new law around that, because for me, the whole reason I want a self-driving car is to sleep. Like, I just want to get in the back seat, watch a movie. But there's like, it's self-driving, but you're still going to have to be behind the wheel, so it's not even that great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you could be texting or something. Or what about drinking? Do you think people are going to be able to drink and drive? You know what they should do before you get in the car? Do a breathalyzer. Because people are going to take advantage of that shit. Yeah. And start drinking. Yeah. There's gonna be like a whole new law. So like they're gonna have to set up new laws for it. Yeah. That is, I never thought about that, drinking and driving. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. When you drink like me. Hey, I can get home. Yeah. Take me home. Yeah. See, like me, if I have one sip of alcohol, I don't drive. Okay, my wife will, or Uber, taxi. I don't give a fuck. I'm not touching the wheel, even if it's one beer, dude, because my job depends on me driving. Right. I get a DUI, I'm done. So I get very paranoid. So. Oh yeah, no, that's a good way to be. Yeah, because if I get too messed up on a podcast, I'll Uber home. Mm-hmm. But usually I just stay at the office until I sober up. Mm-hmm. But it's scary now. People drunk drive. Like there was I right down the street from where I live yesterday, I couldn't go grocery shopping because this guy was drunk driving, and they tried to pull him over, and he shot himself in the head. What? I have no idea why. Like there hasn't been an update on it. Holy shit! But it's crazy. Like, why would anyone drunk drive now, especially with Uber? Yeah. He was running away. Yeah, he was running away. Chased. Apparently, it was only like a 3-minute chase. Like, he didn't go. He crashed into a truck, and then when they found him, when they went up to the car, he had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Holy fuck, dude! Yeah, it's a scary world. I'm sorry to bring everybody down. Pass over just to bring the mood back up. On that note, you know what? I wanted to ask you if we could. Are you down to keep podcasting? Because I got a few questions. Sure. Yeah. Is that cool? Yeah. What are we good on time? Oh yeah, we're at 1:45. But I got to piss like a motherfucker. Okay. And then I had a few questions I wanted to hit on. If that's cool. And when we come back, there's going to be no time passing because you're just going to hit pause. So. By the magic of the Zoom. That's true. Zoom H6. Yeah. Right now, I'm full of piss. And in 2 seconds, he'll be empty. Yeah. Empty bladder. Do you got to pee? No. Okay. I'll be right back. Bye. All right. I'm empty. I'm still full. You're still full? I'm still full of pee. I don't have pee. We're back. I don't have pee no more. Am I good on Passover? You're good on Passover chair? I think Passover's great right now. It's been an awesome podcast so far, man. It's been amazing. Passover right there. I had a few questions, but okay. Here's an important one for me, especially since I come from a very hardcore religious Christian background.
Okay.
Like non-denominational Pentecostal and shit like that. So, which I'm not now.
Okay, so you're not trying to convert me.
No. This is not a fucking. I'm not trying to witness to you, evangelize you. No, I'll tell you where I stand now, so you could be open.
Okay.
And not be worried about what to say or not be, like hurt someone's feelings or something.
Oh, right. No, yeah.
I'm more of right now. Everybody has labels.
Right.
I don't know. I'm like what Rogan says. I don't know what I am. I don't know if there's something out there. I don't know. I'm just like agnostic maybe. I just don't know.
Right.
So that's where I stand. But I know you're an atheist.
Well.
Right? Or
I grew up Jewish. And I'm still technically Jewish, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had my parents always fought about it because my mom. No, she's not even super religious, but she liked going on like the important holidays.
Yeah.
My dad didn't like going, so it was always like.
Is your dad Jewish as well?
Yeah, he's Jewish, but he didn't like going, so that was that was hard as a kid because then there'd be fights associated with it.
Yeah.
And then it's tough being Jewish because all the services are in Hebrew, or the majority of it. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm sure that I know maybe like. A lot of Catholic masses are in Latin, so it's sort of the same thing. Where
maybe in Ibri.
Oh, you speak Latin?
No, that was Hebrew. It's just a really bad accent.
Oh, okay. I heard it.
Anilo maybe in Ibri. I love or something.
What did
I don't really know Hebrew.
It's
just
like Ani is I and Ivrit is Hebrew.
Yeah, Ani is I. Yeah, Ibri is Hebrew. Yeah.
So those are the two words I know, but that's the point. As like a young kid in like Hebrew, like a temple. It just sounds like a whole bunch of gibberish.
Yeah.
And you're just like, when is this going to be over?
Yes, yeah.
So I didn't like it, and I pretty much stopped going after my bar mitzvah. How
old are you on a bar mitzvah?
13.
Okay.
So I stopped going to like Hebrew school, like after like once a week or twice a week we'd go after like regular school. So I stopped doing that, and then ever since I moved out here, I've stopped going to temple just because if I was back east, my mom would not make me. But
so when you moved out here, you still went to temple?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would go for the high holidays because I went to college in my hometown basically. So it was I couldn't if my mom was like, "Hey, let's go," I was like, I can't be like, "Oh, I can't go."
Yeah.
So I stopped going. I used to say I was an atheist. Mm-hmm. And in reality, I pretty much am, I guess, if you want to be real. But it's more along the lines of agnostic just because I can't prove it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So, which I know a lot of people consider agnostic like being a little bit of not a scam, but like covering your ass sort of thing.
Yeah. That's why I hate the labels.
Yeah. So I'm not religious. I don't really follow any sort of religion. I'm not keeping kosher for Passover.
Right.
But I can't prove that there's not a God. I'm pretty sure that there's probably not. But Passover.
Skater.
Double Passover.
Ooh. Skaters. All right.
I don't.
Oh, 3.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, 4.
It's like the Jews crossing. It's Jews crossing the desert
6.
on the way with Moses. The first one was Moses. Jesus
we
Christ.
had 6 skaters pass by. That means if you're drinking a sea breeze, you have to down that shit right now.
Yeah, whatever you're drinking, pound it. If it's hot coffee, go for it.
Yeah.
So that's it's not as an exciting of an answer, but I don't want to say definitely no just because. I'll feel like an asshole if it ends up being true, but
see, it's not about an exciting answer or not. It just is the journey. What got you there?
Yeah, I'd say for agnostic.
What triggered you deciding not to subscribe to any religion or?
I don't think it was a trigger. I think it was just like I was saying. It was boring. My parents would fight about it.
Yeah,
and I just never. I also, and tell me what you think about it. I was brought up Reform, which is the most liberal, like, relaxed version of Judaism. Yeah. And it used to bug me that on like the most important holidays, like they used to have to sell tickets, and it would be packed to the rafters. They'd have to put people out in the lobby with just speakers, and everyone was there saying Happy New Year and oh, it's so great to see you, and oh, this and that, and they're taking it really seriously. But where are you the other 51 weeks of the year?
Yeah.
So you obviously don't really care about it. And then it would bug me where, okay, there's this religion and there's these prayers. Why is someone breaking out a guitar right now? Like, why is someone breaking out and singing a weird song?
Fucking cup. Hold on a second.
The Holy Spirit took your cup away. But it's... Yeah, so if I were to be religious...
Yeah.
I would prefer it be... And by conservative, I don't mean like women can't do anything or anything like that, but if you're going to do it, do it. Like, just don't like don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
Don't have it be like all goofy and you know what? But then again, if that's how you relate, that's fine. But for me, I don't like it. For me, I'd prefer it to be what it was.
If you're gonna do it to full extent and not like don't half-ass it, like you said, because it's like having one foot on the cold water and one foot on the. And
that's kind of what we're doing with being agnostic a little bit.
Yeah.
But see, I don't even think it's. I don't know. I think agnostic might have gotten a bad rap because in reality, unless you're super religious, unless you fully are like, yeah, God is here, and like I've been watching a lot of stuff about Prince just because he's on the news and all that stuff.
Yeah, R.I.P.
And what he was a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. And
one of his, I don't know what the right word is, but a pastor or whatever is their leader was talking about. And we think one day when God gets rid of all the other people, that all the Jehovah's Witnesses are gonna come and be reborn or whatever the word is, and like full body and full everything. Yeah. And he's like, that's a deep held belief that we have. And I even though to me it sounds a little bit, I don't want to say crazy, but it sounds a little bit out there. Yeah. I at least respect that they believe it, and that they're doing it the way that they feel is supposed to be doing it. I feel like the only time that's not good is with like Westboro Baptist, and when you start trying to change the way other people are, I don't like it. Yeah. And that's the issue with it. So on one hand, I do like more conservative Jews because I feel like they're actually being Jewish and doing that sort of stuff. But on the other side of that, like I spent 6 months in Israel. They're not that nice. Like, they're kind of rude and they're kind of pushy. And then B, if I told them that I was Reformed, they wouldn't like it's not like they wouldn't be nice to me. They wouldn't like me. And they're always trying to push. Like, when I went there was a hostel in Jerusalem that was free. You got to stay there totally for free. But they kicked you out at 7 a.m. to go to temple, to go to services with them. And they like every time you talk to them about anything, it would be come do this, come do that, which I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I don't want any, I wouldn't want anyone pushing anything on me. So that's why I try to stay out of it. And then who knows what'll happen, but eventually if Paul and I get married, or whoever I end up getting married to, if Paula breaks up with me, because let's be honest, that's what's going to happen if it happens. I think it's important that she have similar beliefs, because I would never want to have something where, okay, well, we love each other, but you're totally different than I am, right? In that respect,
it could be a strain in a marriage.
Yeah, religion, totally, a huge strain. And then how do you decide how you want to raise the kids? Yeah. So for me, it's almost like my religion is being not anti-religion, but not having one. So I don't even know if I want to say I'm agnostic. I'm a-religious.
My friend Clemente.
What's up, Clemente?
What's up, Clemente? I think the definition you gave me is the same, the way he feels, because he does a lot of weed and meditating and all this stuff, and he talks about he feels like this energy in the universe and all this stuff, but at the same time he says he's an atheist. But his definition, when he told me the word atheist, means the A part means against whatever the next word is.
Okay, I'm for that then.
Yeah, so he said, my definition of atheist doesn't mean that I don't believe in a God. I'm against the thought of having a God.
Yeah.
I guess kind of like that.
Have you heard of, I don't even know if religion is the right word, but there's a group called Baha'i. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
I don't know a ton about it, but they have a place in Israel called the Baha'i Gardens, and it's one of the most beautiful places you'll ever see. They have like teams of landscapers doing like the most intricate like landscaping and beautiful gardens, but their whole system, like Baha'i, the way it was explained to me a few years ago, and then marijuana took its hold, so we'll see how much I remember, but was like, there's no God, and there's no, I don't know if there's no prayer book, but there's definitely no prayer services, and people just go in and pray the way they want to and how they want to, and that to me was what seemed perfect. Now granted, that could be wrong, and it could not be the full truth, but if that something like that is something that I'd be more into.
That's pretty cool, man.
Was it part of your church where you had to give some of your money to the church?
10%, yeah.
Oh no,
but it wasn't obligate.
Okay, that I'm not gonna say it bums me out, but the thought of being forced to give 10% of whatever you make to anything,
however,
that's a really big commitment.
It could be very corrupted, man. But
I'm sure.
I think there's a valuable lesson learned in that, though, where me personally, I don't think you have to give a specific number.
Okay.
But it kind of teaches you the act of giving, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Because like, I like to take care of my mom.
Okay. Yeah.
I take care of her cell phone. I'll send her some money, and it's like, you know that one of the 10 commandments, honor your father and mother. Yeah. A lot of people think the definition of that was, anybody can interpret it. The way I interpret it is the word honor right there in the Hebrew, it also relates to when you bring gold to your parents. Bring whether it's gold, money, right? In our terms, which means take care of your parents when they're older and shit like that. Totally. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things I feel worst about.
Yeah.
Is my mom, like my dad can take care of himself. And so can my mom.
Yeah.
Like that's
Passover.
Probably even more than I don't want to say more, but just as much as my dad can take care of herself. But like she still lives in Boston, for example, and my brother doesn't live at home. So she's like shoveling out her car by herself.
Yeah.
And when I hear that, I'm like, she's like, I don't want to say her age because if she ever listens to this, she'll get mad at me. But I'm 27, so you can imagine around what age she is.
Yeah.
I don't want her shoveling something out by herself.
Yeah.
I don't want her carrying waters in it. Like, I feel bad sometimes being out here.
Yeah.
And I'm not at a place yet where I can help her out.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be. Like, eventually that'd be great.
It's where your heart is, though, to see that desire of you wanting to do that. That's cool. That's awesome. Because, see, here's my problem with some religious people. They give their money 10% to the church, to the leader, and God knows what the fuck they're doing with the money. Right. And they're forsaking their parents. You know what I mean? They don't even give a fuck. I have family members that are super religious and leaders of the church, of their Christian church. They don't give a shit about my mom. My brothers and sisters. Fuck it, I'll say it. My brothers and sisters. I'm the only one that helps her. And I'm the one that's not religious. Yeah. You know? And I take pride in it. Fuck it. But, you know, I guess that, and to go back, I think that's something I learned, and I have a lot of values from church, which I think I appreciate. Right, yeah, of course. And giving, the act of giving or tipping, you know, like, to me, like, it's very important. However, I refuse to give to the homeless. Why is that? It pisses me off when I'm asked. If it's born out of my heart, which has happened several times in Vegas. Right. If I'm going through a drive-through and I need or I'll buy food and I'll just, like, if I feel it in my heart, you know, like if I have a desire. But when they come up to me, it's like, come on, man, dude. You know, I don't know. I have another guy that's gonna ask me down the street. Yeah, it's tough, especially when you live in a big city. Yeah. Because, like, in Boston, there's famous homeless people. Like, there's this one guy
who would walk around
Everybody knows him.
downtown. Anybody got any spare? Like he's yelling it in that voice all day. There's this guy on a bike who goes around. I don't even know if he even asks for money. He's on a bike with a little horn.
Yeah.
But it depends. I had a weird experience as a little kid. I was out in Boston and I saw these homeless people. And I was really young, and I grew up, like I said, I grew up in a town. I didn't really experience that. So I wanted to give them money. And I still feel terrible, but I tossed a quarter. Not like at him. He was like far away. Yeah. So I like tossed it and it rolled to him. I don't remember if he picked it up. But I still feel bad about that. That one still I was like probably like 6.
You just threw a quarter at him.
Not overhand. I didn't hit him in the face.
Was it underhand or?
Oh yeah, when I was a little kid, I tossed it I remember it rolling on its side to him.
That's cool, but you were a kid. How many kids think of doing that shit? You know? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm a great kid I don't remember. That's cool though, man.
She probably did some shit he said.
That's pretty cool.
I don't give as much anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will. I'm more likely to give if they don't ask.
Okay. Yes, if they don't ask, and if they're working for it too, because from the age 13, I worked for my shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know a lot of it has to do with mental illness.
Right.
But do something, perform. Like that video you showed me before the podcast. You showed me this video that Rogan posted on his Twitter today of a guy in Hollywood jerking off.
Full out. Not even under his... He just had his pants around his knees.
I would give that guy $20.
See, here's the thing. I'm totally... If they don't ask, but if they have a funny sign...
Yes.
There's this guy in New York sign. Who's I need money for ninja training or that, something like that. I'm
yes.
like, oh, cool.
Why lie? Absolutely. I'm gonna get beer or something like that.
Yeah, that makes me laugh. If you could, the only one I haven't done, and I don't even know if he's homeless, is I've seen him a couple times on the Vegas Strip. I'll let you kick me in the balls for 20. I'm like, what? I hope you're homeless. I have a joke about that, bro. Oh my god.
I have a joke about that I do sometimes. Where I'm like, this kid had aspirations when he was a kid. One day I'll be president.
Right.
Fast forward 20 years later, this guy's the guy. Hey, you could kick me in the balls for $20.
For $20, just oh no. So that sort of stuff. And
a lot of people just give him money, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen. I like to. I like to people watch.
What? I'm gonna kick him in the balls now. Fuck that! I'm gonna pay for it. If he's just getting money, then he deserves.
I seen a guy with a margarita be like, "Hey, bro, that shit was funny," and he just walks away. Doesn't even kick him. Just gives him $20. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. I don't. Yeah. I would love to know if it's mostly guys or mostly girls kicking him. Probably girls.
Yeah, I think. Oof. Yeah, I know, huh?
I don't think guys could. I don't think guys.
Have you seen him get kicked though?
No.
I can't stand it. I can't watch it. It gives me anxiety.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
What happens? He just doubles over?
Yeah, it's funny because he's a good performer. He jumps up with both feet when he gets kicked.
Okay.
I guess it might help. Yeah. When the hit strikes, and then he just hunches over for a while, and everybody's just watching, laughing. He always has a buddy with him or some crew, and
he must not want kids.
Yeah. And everybody's always recording it. Woo. It's all over YouTube.
Speaking of that, a little happier. Have you seen the guy in San Francisco who scares people on the street?
The Bushman?
Yes.
Yeah, he died.
No.
Yeah. There's copycats now, but he died.
God, I'm bringing the whole every story. Did he die by getting kicked in the balls? What happened? Oh no!
Yeah,
that guy was hysterical. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen videos, go on YouTube. That guy makes me laugh.
Yeah, the Bushman.
I experienced it. It was great. I don't think he even asked for money.
No, people just give him money.
Oh, did people give? Oh, really?
Yeah, he had his cup, but he didn't ask. He was a cool dude, man.
I thought he was just doing it for fun. He was just
I think so. I think it was one of those things like comedy became something you did for fun and eventually get paid for.
10,000 hours of scaring people on the street.
10,000
hours. That's sad. R.I.P. Bushman.
Yeah, man. Sad.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, my last question.
Sure.
To wrap this up.
Okay.
I think there's some audience members that would like to know, because I'm dying to know. I just didn't want to. When the conversation's flowing, I don't want to stop it.
Okay.
You said you sent a message to Joey.
Right.
And that message changed everything.
Right.
What was that message, if you don't mind sharing?
I said, I want to work for a comedian, but I don't want to come off as creepy. Do you have any advice?
Oh.
And he wrote me back. He said, I don't think, and for anyone who's emailed Joey, you probably get the same. He won't directly respond to what you say. So when that, I mean, I don't know about all the time, but in my experience, he was like, what's your idea? Like, what do you want to do? And I looked at it. I wrote a blog about it. I said something along the lines of CDs and shooting your own specials and YouTube videos. I don't even think, because he had the podcast, I don't think I said anything about a podcast, but I was just like, hey, like, I want to do these videos, and with the internet, you have all this available to you now. And then he's like, okay, let's meet. And about being starstruck, like, the first time we met was at a comedy club around here in the Valley. And as he was walking up to me, I was like, like, I just saw him. I was like, oh no. Like, it was scary. And then for like the first month or two, we would get together like once a week at that comedy club and just sort of sit outside and talk. Not even really ever about stuff that we wanted to do. Maybe a little bit, but mostly just talking. And then he invited me over his house, and I showed him how to post a picture on Twitter, and he called me an unadulterated genius for posting a picture on Twitter. And not even on the phone, on his computer. And I went from there, and then we did Matt Flavors World, which I don't know if you remember. It was just a YouTube videos. And that was when I was working in TV, and it saved me. Like, I've told this story. I had applied to Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Best Buy. Didn't get anything. And the day that I met Joey, I had an interview for political telemarketing, like trying to fundraise for people. And when we started doing the videos, he gave me $100 a week cash, and it saved me to do those videos. It saved me, and and then we just started doing. Then we did a documentary. We did a CD, and then I think in end of 2012, beginning of 2000.
This is all before the podcast.
Yeah, it was either end of 2012 or end of 2013 that we started the church. I'm blanking.
I think it was 12.
Wow, was it really?
That's when I moved to Vegas, and then the church started. Yeah, I want to say
it was September. Sure. I'm forgetting. It was 2000. Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure.
That means this is 4 years then in September. Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure it was 12.
Wow. Okay. I had that's time flies.
Yeah. And how many episodes deep are you guys in?
375.
Holy fuck.
But we also did about 10 to 15 live ones. Okay. So close to 400.
You didn't count those as numbers?
No. I don't know why. It just seemed like I shouldn't. It just seemed like it's something different, so you want to number it differently. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about podcasts. You're just making it all up. There's no reason for me to do that. I was just like, let's number the live ones.
Yeah, there's no rules.
Yeah. It's all different.
Well, that's cool, man. That's an amazing story, and
it's changed my life, and it's weird. Like, speaking about only having a couple friends, my best friend right now is a 50-something-year-old Cuban guy who went to jail. And now, like, honestly, like, we talk 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
More so when he's in town. Now he's out on the road.
He's on the road right now?
Only a couple times a day.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it's...
What's Uncle Joey doing right now?
He's in Indy. He's in
Indy?
Crackers. So anyone listening to this, if you saw him in Crackers... Thank you for going. And so that's he's in Crackers this week. I don't know. Well, this isn't coming up for a a week or so.
So
I don't know where he's going to be after this.
Yeah. Well, they could always go to
joeydiaz.net.
joeydiaz.net. And do you like to read books or audiobooks?
Yeah.
Are you into audiobooks?
I haven't as much, but I'm always down for one.
So I strongly recommend, just for the fuck of it, if you have 4 hours, you could listen to it on YouTube, The Alchemist.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, so it's on YouTube?
Yeah, that's how I listen to it.
Oh.
People kept telling me about it. Willie Barcena told me.
Okay.
He's like, do you read books? And he told me and gave him the last go. And he recommends it a lot. Like, it's one of those books that's like, it's a great story.
Yeah,
so
I'm definitely going to check that out.
Check that out, bro. And then let's plug also what one of the things that you do for the podcast world. You have your business.
Right.
Let's plug that.
I do consulting. So about a year and a half ago, I sort of the issue with podcasting, and I'm not claiming to be an expert at it, but there's a lot of different information out there. And I'm sure you ran into it when you were buying equipment or when you were trying to find a host to host the podcast on. Everyone has a different opinion, and like if you Google it, you can read 18 articles, and each one is telling you, okay, get the Zoom. No, fuck the Zoom. No, get this Zoom. So, because I've been doing it, Jesus Christ, for 4 years now, I've gone through trial and error on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I offer, and it's I'm very open about it. I'm not saying that it's the only way to do it, and I'm not saying that the equipment that I have is the only equipment you can use, but it's, and I've been very lucky, and it's great to hear the people whose podcasts who have start, and they're like, oh, we've been trying to do it for months and we couldn't figure this out, or and it's
and
weird.
You consulted them?
Yeah, and it's weird, and I'm sure you'd run into it because you're in the TV and you know all that tech stuff.
Yeah,
and it seems, I don't know if you want to say simple, but it comes, you know it already. So sometimes
to me it comes natural.
And then so sometimes something so simple to me, like submitting it, just for an example, submitting a podcast to iTunes, it takes 2 steps. It's like 3 buttons.
Yes.
It couldn't be easier, but a lot of people are like, I could never get this to work, and I didn't know this was how it is. So that's why I do it. It's obviously it's a business and I want to make money on it.
Yeah.
But it's been like I got to go up to Salinas, and these 2 kids who were homeschooled started a podcast, and they're doing great. And then I recently went up to Stockton and helped these 2 vets start a podcast, and they are talking about doing mushrooms, and they grow weed, and it's
amazing.
What
any podcast could be about.
Oh yeah, it could be about anything. It could be for a business. It could just be your friends together. Like, that's a lot of people hit me up and go, like, I just got an email and I haven't even responded to it yet. Yeah. He said, how do I make money in podcasting? Like, he doesn't even have one yet. Yeah. And that's not who I want to help. Because that's not really where that's like all I don't have expertise in. Like, it's not just start a podcast, make money. It's a lot harder than that, and I don't want anybody to think, it's going to be super easy. So that's what the people that I love helping are. Like, I just got hit up by a Facebook group of people who are like adults who like toys. And they're like, we just thought it'd be fun to start a podcast for our Facebook group.
Like Legos and stuff?
I don't know. I think it's more intense, like actual toys, like old school toys. So that sort of stuff. And nice.
What about Mike Docha? Didn't you help Mike Docha?
I gave him some information on some video stuff, but then we never really got together to set it up. So I don't know if he used it or not. But it's been a lot of fun. Then I do Steve Simone's Good Times podcast.
Oh yeah, you produce it, huh?
Yeah. Well, cool. He records his interviews, and then I do the intros and outros with him, and then I edit it together.
That's what I did for Yoshi for a while.
Okay,
he would send it to me, and I would upload it for him.
Right. Yeah. So I do that, and then I also do a podcast with a young comedian named Johnny Rock.
Shout out Johnny Roca.
Johnny, you're the only one who calls him Johnny Roca. Like, his actual name is Johnny Roca or Johnny Roca.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
I've been friends with him before I started comedy on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Him and Rizzo.
Oh, okay.
They would always hang out.
So him and I started, and I call him young, but I think he's older than me. Yeah. But we started one. It's called Life in Neutral. So I do that. It's and people get on me about the name a little bit, but it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's how even if you're doing well, you have a good job, especially when you're trying to follow your dream, it just feels like you're stuck in the mud a little bit. Yeah. Or stuck in neutral while you're driving. So we do that once a week on Tuesdays.
Cool. That's fucking awesome, dude.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy for the things that have, happened to you. I'm excited for the things that are going to come. You know what I mean? Man. So I'm very excited. For the people that want to reach out for your services and stuff, how can they find you?
Well, what they can do is everything for me is at leesyatt.com, and I feel bad now. We maybe by the time you put this out, it'll be up. But a very nice listener named Rob Johnston just built me a website just for the consulting. So that is launching very soon, and when we have the address and everything all launched, I'll let you know, and hopefully maybe it'll be up by the time this podcast is up.
Okay.
But if it's not, the email for me is Syatt podcast.
How do you spell Syatt?
Syatt. It's like the Hotel Hyatt with an S.
Nice.
So just email me there. But honestly, if I love, it's tough with emails, like going back and forth. It's just, so what I always love to, and this is not for business. For business, email is great. But what I love is Twitter. Twitter's my social media. So please, if you want to follow me at Syatt, LEESYATT, I'd love to talk to you on Twitter.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna do it at I don't know. I think it was last year when you were in Vegas.
Right, I was in Vegas and I got my first sty. I was so bummed.
You had a sty, that's right. But I'm glad we waited because now you're the 100 episode.
I'm glad we waited too. So, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
let's go get some tacos.
Yeah, let's get some tacos. Shout out to my boy Token Lair. Love you, brother.
Love you, buddy.